I can turn it up and kick through that interview if you want it. Test. Do I need to read that, or do you have a tape of that? Okay. Video? It's Tony's video. Okay, let's do it. Am I number 2? 2, right? He's 3? Where's your other mic? You don't have another one for 4? Okay. Which one do you normally go with, or do you care? Oh, here, let's. Is it doer? Is it Eeks and Mecrum right now? Yeah, let's do that now, just so we can get it going anyway. So we can always do this during the while that video's running. Okay. Oh, right now? So you're gonna run the commercial first. Okay. Okay.
There.
All right, about to go here.
And right, playbacker. Number 84, Tony White.
And 1, 2,
3.
And welcome to the Sound Live Sports Network, where tonight at Edmond Stadium, the Mountlake Terrace Hawks versus the Meadowdale Mavericks. Good evening, everybody. I am Steve Willits. You've tuned in to the Sound Live Sports Network pregame show. We're going to take a quick commercial break right now, and when we return, we'll have a very short pregame show and then get right to action as the football game is just moments away. Stay tuned. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
This Sound Live Sports Network pregame show is presented by Dewar, Meeks, and Eckram CPAs, conveniently located in downtown Edmonds and Marysville for all of your individual and business year-end tax planning and preparation needs. Call Mike today for a free 30-minute consult or visit them online at dmecpa.com.
And we're back again on the Sound Live Sports Network. I'd like to thank our pregame show sponsor. We've got a quick video we're going to show you right now. Earlier today at Sorelli Pizza in Mountlake Terrace, got a chance to catch up with head coach Tony Umayam, Mountlake Terrace coach Tony Umayam. Talked to him a little bit about tonight's game, but we also talked to him a little bit about what he was doing at Sorelli Pizza. A special press conference took place today. Devontae Downs, Mountlake Terrace senior, who's got a torn ACL in his knee and is out for the season, was picked to play in the U.S. Army All-American Bowl game in San Antonio, Texas in January. He's not able to play. However, the U.S. Army and the game itself still stuck to their commitment. They still honored him. And this is some footage from earlier today with Coach Tony Umayam. Hey, Steve Willits for Sound Live Sports Network, coming at you from Sorelli Pizza, where earlier tonight, Devontae Downs was selected to a very esteemed group of people. And to Coach Tony Umayam, talk a little bit about what we're doing here and what exactly Devontae Downs was selected for.
Well, Devontae was actually selected to play in the U.S. Army All-American game, which is a absolutely huge honor. Of the million-plus high school football players in this country, and they take the top 90 each year and invite them to the game. And he was invited after his season last year. Unfortunately, because of his injury that he suffered over the summer, he's not going to be able to play in the game, but they invited him to go down and participate in all the activities and be around the game and all that. So it's a huge honor for Devontae, huge honor for Mountlake Terrace football.
And I'm noticing that the coach is wearing a U.S. Army Strong hat as well. Coach gets to go down too, is that correct?
Yeah. Fortunately, they're flying some coaches down there, and we're going to go there and get a chance to network in with other high school coaches and get to see some pretty high caliber high school football players. So excited about that. Yeah, big event. And again, before we move on to talking about tonight's game, I'm going to mention one more time the U.S. Army All-American Bowl, January 4th. 10 a.m. start, and that game will be shown on NBC. So if you're not Coach Umayam and you're not Devontae, you can watch the game live on Channel 5. Hey, Coach, let's talk a little bit about tonight's game as well. Meadowdale Mavericks, team you know very well.
team you've coached against numerous times. However, new coach this year. Does having Coach Mike Don in there as opposed to Mark Stewart, does that change anything from how you need to prepare schematically, or what does that do for you in preparing for this team?
Well, from what we see of what Coach Don has brought to Meadowdale, it's a little bit more balance in their offense. You know, they do like to spread it out a little bit more and put the ball up in the air more than Coach Stewart did. And so, you know, we're trying to make those adjustments and get ready for something a little bit closer to the offense that he had at Linwood High School. Defensively, things seem to be pretty much the same there. You know, I believe the defensive coordinator there hasn't changed, so we're going to expect a good, tough defense from Meadowdale, and they're still going to come out and play physical football.
Now, defensively, their front three is huge, and they've been having a solid year. I know that you went into last week's game against Everett a little bit understaffed or undermanned. Caleb Davis and Jevin Potnui did not play in that game. Will they be playing tonight?
Yes, the plan is for both of them to come back tonight, which really boosts us all the way across the board. You know, when you have a couple of your regular guys come back, then a couple of the backup guys, can maybe play a little bit more on defense. It just helps the overall team depth, which when you're playing a good team like Meadowdale is really key.
And also last week, big win against Everett. Second win of the season. What has that done for this team's confidence moving forward as you go into your final 3 or 4 games?
Well, what it does is it's kind of the turning point, or it's kind of a key. It's a pivotal game in our season. It was last year, and we hope that it is this year, to where you get back on the winning track. You start looking at playing good football, finish it off. We talk about how we're going to finish the season, and put how we started behind us, and just hopefully we can roll out and compete well against Meadowdale and carry it out the rest of the season.
So again, this is a game that counts in the standings. 3A South, Meadowdale Mavericks versus the Mountlake Terrace Hawks. Coach Umayam, thank you as always.
All right, thanks.
Good luck tonight. Stay tuned, and when we come back, we'll have more football here on the Sound Live Sports Network. Hey, Steve Willits for And we are back again on the Sound Live Sports Network, where once again tonight, a Wesco 3A South matchup between the Meadowdale Mavericks and the Mountlake Terrace Hawks. Good evening, everyone. My name is Steve Willits, and I will be bringing you play-by-play action tonight, live from Edmond Stadium. Joining me this evening, a friend and somebody who I've done a number of games with, David Koschik. Dave, how are you?
I'm excited, Steve. A little nervous too. It's the 6th game of the year, and my first game broadcasting back from last year. Thanks for having me back. Fired up for looks like to be a great night for Friday Night Football.
Yeah, definitely a clear night tonight. A little bit crisp, a little bit cold.
Perfect.
Not too
for
cold.
playing football.
Perfect for playing football. No rain, which we do appreciate. And certainly that means that the teams can't use that as an excuse for the passing game, if that is the case, correct?
I'm sure if you're looking for an excuse, you can always find one.
And they generally do. Hey, we're going to pause right now as they are about to do the singing of our national anthem. Once again, you are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Tom Davis. Let's get ready for football.
And with that, we are just about ready to begin here. Pre-game still taking place. Meadowdale, Mountlake Terrace. The Meadowdale Mavericks coming into this game with an overall record of 4 wins and 1 loss on the season. They are 2-0 in division play. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks, well, they're 2 wins and 3 losses overall. And unfortunately for the Hawks, they have lost their only regular season division game thus far. That was a game against Glacier Peak. So what does that mean? Well, 5 teams in the division. The top 2 teams are guaranteed playoff berths. The third place team has to win a play-in game 3 weeks from now. And 4th and 5th place do not advance. So therefore, Mountlake Terrace, in their second game of the year, out of 4 games that truly count, Dave, if the Hawks lose this game tonight, they would be 0-2. And at that point, they would need to beat Shorewood and Shorecrest, their next 2 opponents.
Next 2 opponents that are home games here at Edmond Stadium. So it gives a little bit more backing for a better chance for them to win. But this is a similar situation to where they were last year. They lost both to Glacier Peak and Meadowdale. Very close games that came down to the last couple drives of the game. Lost those, beat both Shoreline schools, made it to the postseason and beat Marysville Getchell.
In the crossover
game. And then they followed down at Clover Park down south. So it's looking similar to last year. So we'll see if Mountlake Terrace can play Meadowdale as tough this year as they did last year.
Mountlake Terrace has won the toss. They will be receiving. Like to see the pink out there, too. It is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We see that a lot of the Mountlake Terrace Hawk players wearing pink socks tonight in honor of that. Jacob Walgren, number 20. Isaiah Green, number 34, back to receive. Schaefer with the kickoff. And this one's going to be fielded on the 2-yard line, bringing it out along the left-hand side. Slipping initially, but fighting his way through it. And I take that back. That is number 44 for the Hawks. That's Morrissey, a player we haven't seen very much this year. 6 foot, 170, junior defensive back on the return. Gets about 20 yards on the play. And he is finally brought down on the 22, as we wait to see the spot, 22 or 23-yard line.
I thought for sure he was down at the 16, but the ref was right there. Morrissey kept his feet and got 6 more yards.
Yeah, it took a little slide there around the 16-yard line. It appeared as though he fell backwards. Apparently not enough to where at least the ref saw him go down. Stays on his feet. And the Hawks are on the 22. And you know what, Dave? They're going to start back on the 17 anyway, as a little bit of movement there. Looked like number 56, big Billy Parkins, along the left-hand side there, the 6 foot, 235-pound offensive lineman, might have moved a little bit. They're going to scoot that one back. And unfortunately for the Hawks, that means they're going to be looking at a 1st and 15 on their first offensive play of the game.
Looked like 3 Mountlake Terrace players did a little jerk right there. So something was not clear with the center and the quarterback on that snap.
And good to see some familiar faces back in the Hawks lineup today. I see Caleb Davis, number 74, playing left tackle right now back in the lineup. Handoff here, and this is Malcolm Johnson. Johnson with the first carry of the game. Gets about 2 yards. Is finally tackled on the right-hand side. Malcolm Johnson, a very interesting player, wearing the number 9. He's listed at 5'10", 220 pounds. He's a junior, and he's a transfer from Texas. Just going to Mountlake Terrace and up in the state of Washington for his first year. Just became eligible last week. Had a handful of carries. We've been hearing a lot about this player from the coaching staff. They're high on him, and he is a load once he gets going. Had a few starts down at a large 5A school in Texas last year, and we expect to see quite a bit of him. And on the very next play, Justin Hopkins rolling out to his left, breaks one tackle and is finally pushed out of bounds right about at the 23-yard line. A gain of 4, and that should bring up a 3rd and 9.
I sure hope Coach Umayam is trying to open that pipeline down in Texas to keep the players coming up to get us through whatever injuries that might have in the offseason.
Yeah, no kidding. There's been a whole onslaught of injuries this year, and well documented, one of which, by the way, Devontae Downs. Little treat for the crowd here tonight and for the audience at home, or for the audience that's watching the game, we like to think, maybe in the crowd tonight, Devontae Downs is going to be our halftime guest, and we're going to talk to him about something very special that happened to him earlier this afternoon. 3rd and 9, Hopkins looking to pass. Throws it deep along the right-hand side. Ball is caught. And out of bounds at the 47-yard line for your Hawks, a 23-yard gain. A player he knows very well. That was Justin Hopkins hitting twin brother Josh Hopkins for the first down.
Well, the receiver and DB and the cornerback were lined up. They were running down the field shoulder to shoulder. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but the pass was a little bit short, allowing Hopkins to turn around and catch the behind-the-shoulder pass for a nice 15-yard gain.
So the Hawks with their first down of the ball game. Justin Hopkins, this time he's going to hand off. Johnson with a carry, fights through one tackler. Is finally brought down by number 42. That's Mason Smith, the linebacker, 5'8", 175-pound linebacker, doing a nice job to tackle the 220-pound fullback, but not until Johnson gains 5 yards. And that will bring up a 2nd and 5 as the Hawks crossing over the midfield line for the first time tonight.
On this first down, there was no false start penalty, so not to state the obvious, but 1st and 15, putting yourself back in the hole, a lot better at 1st and 10. Get 6 yards. There are a lot more plays now for Coach Yalowicki to draw up on 2nd and 4.
And let's see what they go to here. It's listed at 2nd and 5. Another handoff to Johnson, fights through the first tackler. May have picked up a yard as they are spotted on the 47-yard line, and we'll see what they can do on this play as they're looking at a 3rd and 4. And I'll tell you what, Mountlake Terrace, very impressive thus far. Getting a nice push up front. We've talked about this on a couple of broadcasts already. Meadowdale very stout on the front 3 there. And we've talked about these players a number of times. Number 57, Jojo Alcaderi. Number 99, Garrett Walsh. And number 55, Marzell Simmons. One of the better front 3s you're going to find in high school football. They do not give up much room. And so far, the Hawks getting a nice push up front. Give a lot of credit to that offensive line, and we'll see what they can do here on 3rd and 3 on the 46-yard line of Meadowdale. Hopkins looking to pass, finds his brother once again. Nice catch. Justin to Josh. Ball is complete at the 37-yard line. A gain of 9, and another Mountlake Terrace Hawks first down.
Nice throw. We talked about the weather, how it's dry today. That was a crisp spiral right to his brother, about a 10, 11-yard pass. So I think your prediction's right about no excuses for losing the ball with the rain today. That was a nice throw.
Good to see that passing game getting going early, too. They only completed 4 passes as a team last week against Everett. Fortunately, they didn't need very many more than that. They won the game 28-13. This is a Meadowdale team that's much tougher on defense. You need to be well-rounded to keep them off balance, and so far the Hawks are doing it. Handoff once again. That's Chance Ragsdale barreling his way through the middle. Finally brought down at the 21-yard line. A gain of 16 yards and another Mountlake Terrace Hawks first down.
I got to tell you, Steve, this is an impressive drive after the kickoff fielded at the 2-yard line. Looking like Mountlake Terrace is going to get stopped at the 15. We get 6-7 more. Mountlake Terrace gets 6-7 more yards, and now it's 1st and 10 on Meadowdale's 22.
22-yard line, a 4-minute drive thus far as we've just gone under the 8-minute mark here in the first quarter of play. If you're just tuning in, Mountlake Terrace taking the opening kickoff, driving down the field so far. First drive of the ball game. 3 first downs later, they've got the ball on the 22-yard line of Meadowdale. Hopkins takes the snap, hands off to Johnson one more time. Running hard, Johnson brought down after a 2-yard gain. It's going to be spotted down on the 20.
You were mentioning the Mountlake Terrace offensive line. You're right, they're doing a great job. There's some big boys on the defensive side of Meadowdale. Every play has netted positive yards, except for the penalty on the first snap of the game. But Mountlake Terrace offensive line is controlling the line of scrimmage right now.
Yeah, and that offensive line, number 55 anchoring into the middle, that's the sophomore Drew Clippert. He's got Podnui and Davis at the tackles, Parkins and Potter at the guards. Ragsdale running around the right-hand side, cuts it back into the middle, and does a nice job to find open space, just enough to get up field for a gain of about 5 yards. And the Hawks are looking for a first down here as they're looking at 3rd and 3 on the Meadowdale 15-yard line.
Terrace picks up 4 on the play. 3rd down,
So the last 2 third downs from Mountlake Terrace, it was obviously back further. The defense has to cover more field. Now it'll be a little more tricky to get a pass out because Meadowdale defense only has 20 yards to cover, so they can inch up on the line of scrimmage a little more.
So 3rd and 3 once again. Johnson and Ragsdale both in the backfield. We get a whistle here before the snap. And it looks as though the Mountlake Terrace Hawks are going to take a timeout. So we're going to take a quick break here. Once again, first drive of the game, no score. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
And we are back again on the Sound Live Sports Network. Mountlake Terrace, Meadowdale, 3A South Westco showdown here at Edmonds Stadium. 6:16 to go in the first quarter. The Hawks are driving, but they've got a big play coming up. 3rd and 3 on the Meadowdale 16. Coming out of a timeout. Let's see what the Hawks can dial up here. Hopkins awaits the snap. Hands off to Johnson. He's trying to find room along the left-hand side. I take that back. That's Ragsdale. And he's finally tackled for a gain of about a yard. Going to give credit to a couple different players there. It looked as though Philip Thomas was in on the tackle. And Jimmy Bruders might have been in there as well, the linebacker. And that brings up a 4th and 2 for the Hawks on the Meadowdale 15. And that's going to bring up the sophomore, Mikey Jensen, number 5, on to attempt his first field goal of the night. Cole Kraus getting the some duty here as the holder, apparently. A job that was held by Tanner Munnis for a while. Tanner out with a broken tibula right now. The kick is up, and the kick is good. 32 yards out, and the sophomore Mikey Jensen puts it between the uprights. 5:20 to go here in the first quarter of play. Hawks striking early, and they are up 3-0. We're going to take a quick break, and when we return, Meadowdale about to take the field on offense for the first time tonight. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Where will you be after high school? Shoreline Community College offers training for rewarding careers in automotive repair, dental hygiene, early childhood education, biotechnology, and much more. Or earn an associate's degree and be ready to transfer to a 4-year college. To learn more, visit shoreline.edu today.
And welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Steve Willits, Dave Koscheck, coming to you live from Edmonds Stadium. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks with a very nice drive to open this game up. They marched it down the field. Took the ball 65 yards down the field, to be exact. And thanks to a 32-yard field goal by sophomore Mikey Jensen, the Hawks strike first, and they lead 3-0. And now we're going to get a chance to see this Meadowdale offense, one that has performed very well all year long. And this is a matchup that should be very interesting. A running game of Meadowdale that has been very hard to stop. We're going to probably see a lot of number 5 Malik Braxton as well as number 4 Rory Spillum, 2 running backs who both can carry the rock and get a lot of yards. Speaking of Malik Braxton, he was back there on the kickoff. Ball dribbles by him into the end zone for a touchback, and Meadowdale will start off their first possession at the 20-yard line.
Mountlake Terrace went over 6 minutes on an opening drive, got 3 points, obviously a success, but what I see is Mountlake Terrace won in the trenches on that opening drive. There were no really big broken plays in that opening drive or a missed tackle for extra yards. Mountlake Terrace pushed the ball down the field, so we'll see if Meadowdale can respond doing the same.
And Meadowdale once again taking the ball over on the 20-yard line. Ball is handed off to Braxton right off the bat. Trying to find some room there along the right-hand side, and is tackled finally by, guess who, number 54, Brett Potter, a guy whose name we tend to call quite often. Double-digit tackles every game so far this season, and he starts off with one right off the bat. So we're back again here. 2nd and 5 for Meadowdale on their first drive of the game. Malik Braxton with a 5-yard gain on the very first play. Should mention that is number 15, Jeremiah Evans, under center. Evans having a very good year so far, and he's going to come out passing here. Ball is complete. However, it's going to be short. We'll see if they give him forward progress here.
It looks like it'll be a yard short.
Philip Thomas, number 85, making the catch. 6 foot 185 senior. Josh Hopkins, one of the players making a tackle there. Having himself quite a game so far, as he's already had 2 first down catches. And now has a tackle to go along with that. 3rd down and 1 here. Big play for the Meadowdale offense and the Mountlake Terrace defense, as the Hawks trying to make Meadowdale go 3 and out here. Nice play there. Malik Braxton gets the first down, breaks a couple tackles, and is finally brought down by the shoestrings. Once again, number 54, Brett Potter, making the tackle, but not until Braxton gets the first down after a gain of 3 and moves the chains for the Meadowdale for the first time tonight.
Braxton earned his money on that play. There were 3 Mountlake Terrace defenders within a fingernail apart from getting him in the backfield, but he kept his feet, kept moving, lunged forward, got 3 yards.
So 3:56 to go here in the first quarter. Meadowdale trailing Mountlake Terrace 3-0, and they are on their first offensive drive of the night. Pass out into the left flat, and still running is number 84. That's Charlie White. White is finally brought down at the Mountlake Terrace 47-yard line, a gain of 22, and another Meadowdale first down.
That was a nice throw and catch. It's a risky throw, throwing the wide side of the field, because if it's off a little bit, those are the sort of passes that get picked off for a return touchdown. But hitting the running back in stride, catching the ball, turning upfield for 20 yards. A nice play, Meadowdale.
47-yard line.
So Evans back again, shotgun formation. 3:28 to go here in the first quarter. I'm off the air. Takes the snap, hands off to Rory Spillum, number 4. Spillum trying to find room along the left-hand side, nothing doing. He's tackled by number 4, Andy Clossy.
With the tackle for the Hawks.
That's what you call it, an old-school student body left by Meadowdale. All of Mountlake Terrace was there following him for a no-gain run.
47-yard line.
2:50 to go here in the first quarter. Evans in shotgun formation, 2nd and 10 on the 47. Drops back to pass and completes it. Number 85, Philip Thomas, making the catch. Gain of 6, and that will bring up a 3rd and 4 for the Mavericks.
Philip Thomas listed as 6 foot. He looks a little bit taller on there. There's a risky throw, nice catch. Can't teach height. Thomas ran up, got the ball. Still, it's going to be 3rd and about 4. Could be 2-down territory from Meadowdale. But still, it's a good chance for Mountlake Terrace to make the Meadowdale coaching staff think about a 4th down.
As you mentioned, this is kind of no man's land here for Meadowdale. If you get into a punt situation, may not do you much good. You might just want to take 2 shots at that first down marker. That may not even need to be the case. There's Evans, rolls out to his right. Quarterback, keeper, faked the handoff, immediately rolled out. Faked the entire Hawks defense out and was finally pushed out of bounds at the 29-yard line after a gain of 12.
I'm sure there are a lot of Seahawks fans out there listening tonight, and Russell Wilson is known for the read option. I don't think that was a read option. I don't think that was a design play, but it does look the same, to where the quarterback fakes the handoff to tailback running into the pile, runs out to the right and gets an easy 10, 11 yards without being touched by the defense.
So Meadowdale now putting together a very nice drive here. First possession of the game for them. They're trailing 3-0 here with 1:50 to go in the first quarter. Evans drops back, looking deep, firing towards the end zone. Incomplete. Intended receiver there was number 8, Jonathan Kim. Overshoots him into the back of the end zone, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he was feeling pressure on the backside because there really wasn't much there other than one Meadowdale receiver and 3 Mountlake Terrace defenders. So maybe just to get the ball away, know it's first down. He's got 2 more yards or 2 more plays to get a first down.
Interesting call by Meadowdale. They were doing a very nice job with the running game there and taking a shot at the end zone. And we do know that Mountlake Terrace has struggled in the passing game as far as on the defensive side this year anyway. And Meadowdale has shown that they are able to complete the long passes there. Look at that. Brett Potter, number 54, firing through the hole. However, Braxton gets away, makes one man miss, and he's gone. Touchdown, Mavericks. Malik Braxton showing why he is such a special running back. Brett Potter came firing through a gap, had a shot at him, slowed him down at the very least. Braxton had 2 or 3 Hawks right in front of him, put a little jitter step on them, shot out to the left, found the sideline, cut back, made one player miss, and he had nothing but end zone in front of him. He is quite the running back.
Braxton got some quick feet. You said Brett Potter blew up the backfield. It was there, and a lot of times that happens if the running back can make the first tackler miss, that the defenders are sitting there watching, but that wasn't the case in Mountlake Terrace. The whole team was chasing him, but he was able to find one little crease and then went up the field. Nice play. And here's a fake.
It's not a fake, actually. It's a bad snap. Josiah Evans trying to find the corner there. He can't do it as Josh Hopkins comes over, sniffs that one out, tackles him. However, Meadowdale still gets the touchdown, and Meadowdale takes the 6-3 lead on the Hawks with 1:31 to go here in the first quarter. We're going to take a quick break right now. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
The Sound Live Sports Network is brought to you by Harris Ford Lincoln, celebrating 60 years in business in a newly remodeled facility. Harris Ford Lincoln is the largest volume Ford dealer in Washington State and was voted the best in Western Washington by King 5 Evening Magazine. Harris Ford Lincoln, located at 20006 64th Avenue West in Linwood. You can visit them online at harrisford.com.
Test. And we are back again at Edmunds Stadium. Both teams now having one possession here thus far. Meadowdale with a 6-3 lead thanks to a 29-yard touchdown by Malik Braxton. The Hawks with their only points so far, a 32-yard field goal by Mikey Jensen. Schaefer with another kickoff. High up in the air. Hawks fading back. That's Walgren, number 20. He finds a little gap. He takes off. He's got some space. And is finally brought down from behind. One of the Meadowdale Mavericks just got enough of his jersey to slow him down. And Walgren finally tackled at the 38-yard line. One of the better returns of the year for the Hawks.
Walgren wondering if we can bring back the Earl Campbell breakaway jerseys because he'd have another 20, 30 yards after that. Nice running, nothing fancy. I think it was Mountlake Terrace had blockers on their assignments, and so it made it easy to go right up the middle and get to the 37-yard line.
And another handoff there. That's Chance Ragsdale. Bust up through the middle and is finally tackled at the 42-yard line.
Mountlake Terrace picking up where they left off on the first drive. It's a lot of it is going right at the heart of that Meadowdale defense and winning at the line of scrimmage.
And we're now under a minute to go here in the first quarter of play. Hawks with a 2nd and 6 on the 42-yard line, their own 42-yard line. Trailing 6-3, Hopkins back in shotgun formation, hands off to Johnson. Spins his way out of one tackle and is finally brought down by number 85, Phillip Thomas, after a gain of 3, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 3. And there's 28 seconds to go here in the first quarter as we await to see if the Hawks are going to try to get off another play. In 3rd and 3, ball on their own 45-yard line. Hopkins heading back into the huddle right now.
They might be letting it let the clock wind down.
Clock now showing 5 seconds to go, and we're not really sure what the game clock shows. They might have to get a snap off. And apparently not, as that is the final tick of the quarter, and we have come to the end of the first quarter of play. We're going to take a quick break here on the Sound Live Sports Network. Your score after 1 quarter of play, Meadowdale 6, Mountlake Terrace 3.
If you're hungry before or after the game, visit Sorelli Pizza, located at 44th and 224th in Mountlake Terrace. Enjoy the best pizza in Snohomish County while watching your favorite sports on the 4 50-inch plasma TVs. Dine in or take out. They're open Tuesday through Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Call them at 425-670-8600 or visit them online at SorelliPizza.com.
I'm good right there.
And we are back live on the Sound Live Sports Network, heading into the second quarter of play, where your score once again, Meadowdale 6, Mountlake Terrace 3. Dave, a better game than I think a lot of folks were expecting tonight, on paper anyway, as Mountlake Terrace really struggling over the last few weeks when they've been playing tougher opponents. Meadowdale, on the other hand, 2 shutouts in their last 4 games, another game in which they held a team to 7, and the only other game I didn't mention was the double overtime game against Edmonds Woodway. They've been a very stingy team this year. I was wondering if the Hawks were going to be able to sustain any kind of offense tonight. So far, so good, as we've yet to see a punt. And here we go, Hopkins with a handoff. Ragsdale finding some room, getting forward, and falls to the 49-yard line after a gain of 6. And another Mountlake Terrace Hawks first down.
And Chance was really met there right before the first down marker. Lowered his shoulders and got 2 more yards leaning forward. So, nice run. You're talking about this could be a little bit of a surprise. If you look at the records, you look at the history of both programs, one could believe that. But I'm looking at last year. Mountlake Terrace, Coach Umayam and this coaching staff has really instilled a toughness. We talked about injuries and, beginning of this season, we could talk about that. But they're a second-half team. Second half in the game and second half in their overall season. So we're definitely in the middle of the second half. We'll see how they do.
Hopkins once again handing off this time to number 20, Walgren. He finds some space, and he's got room. 30, 20, 10, 5. Fumbles the ball as he goes in. Let's wait to see what the referee says. And they're going to say he's down on the 1-yard line. The Mountlake Terrace Hawks with an end around. Jacob Waldron busting loose for 48 yards. First and goal from the 1 for the Hawks.
Coach Umayam doesn't have any gray hairs, but I bet he was waiting to see that call and may have had a few, because it could have been one of three calls. Down at the 1-yard line, it could have been touchdown, or it could have been bad news for Mountlake Terrace. Good for Meadowdale. If he had fumbled the ball while still in play out of the end zone, it would have been a touchback for Meadowdale. They would have had the ball on the 20-yard line. So the refs were there. They had the best view in the house. So it'll be 1st and 10 Mountlake Terrace.
First and goal for the Hawks, just short of the goal line there as they spot it, maybe a foot short of the end zone. Hawks still staying in their formation with the quarterback Hopkins in shotgun form. Johnson and Ragsdale behind him. Hands off to Ragsdale, tries to fall forward and is denied. That is number 36, Jimmy Bruders, the junior linebacker, coming through and making the tackle. Ragsdale might have lost a yard on that play, and that's going to bring up 2nd and goal.
Yeah, Ragsdale really had no shot there. That was a nice defensive push on the left side of the defense to get in the backfield before Ragsdale was even get to the line of scrimmage. Mountlake Terrace and the coaching staff's got to be thinking, let's play smart, let's play tough. Mountlake Terrace cannot afford to have a penalty right now because they're this close to the end zone. They don't want to make it that much harder for themselves.
So 10:35 to go here in the second quarter. Hawks trailing by 3. Give the ball to the big fella. Johnson lumbers through. Touchdown, Terrace. Malcolm Johnson, welcome to Mountlake Terrace, and welcome to the end zone. His first touchdown as a Hawk, and he gives his team a 9-6 lead with 10:29 to go in the second quarter.
Definitely a little more smash mouth on that call. It was just handoff to the right. It looked like it went between the guard and tackle hole. It went right in and fell in for a Terrace touchdown.
And Gabe Brady's actually the one on the hold. It's not Cole Krause, who we thought it was earlier. It's an 80 and not a 10. Brady putting the ball down for the second time tonight, and for the second time, I take that back. I thought that was good. Apparently they said it was off to the side. Missed the extra point.
I'm looking at the refs right now. They're conferencing, which normally is not something you do after a PAT or field goal.
And Angelo Camo, our director's telling us one ref said it was good, one ref said it was not good. And as we, it looks like they're jogging to the side to check the replay, but we know that's not the case. If only. Apparently they're going to say no good. So the Hawks, along with Meadowdale on their touchdown, both missing their extra points. The Hawks just flat out missing it on the kick. Meadowdale having trouble with the snap. And consequently, we have a 9-6 game with the Hawks leading with 10:29 to go in the second quarter.
Talk about drives that mirror each other. Both Mountlake Terrace's drive right here and then the first drive of Meadowdale looked very similar. A slow, steady gain downfield for both offenses, and then one big breakaway run. Meadowdale got the touchdown on it. Mountlake Terrace got to the 1 yard line, eventually kicked it in. But this is, I think we're going to have a battle here at the second game at Edmonds Stadium tonight.
Getting some scores here already, too. Edmonds Woodway beating Kamiak right now 35-6 in the third quarter of play. The Warriors continuing to roll, and that's a good Kamiak team, too, I might add. Huge game for the Warriors early on, and we'll get you some more scores in a minute here. Ball is fielded at the 3 yard line, bringing it up along the right-hand side and finding tons of space. That is number 10, Donovan Evans. Evans was not even touched until around the 23-24 yard line. Is finally tackled. However, there is a flag on the play.
If that's against Meadowdale, they got to be kicking themselves because, like you said, he didn't get touched on the 25 yard line. It looks like the flag was thrown right where he's tackled at the 30. So instead of having it 1st and 10 for Meadowdale at their own 30, they'll probably get pushed back to their own 20.
So that illegal block in the back does, in fact, push them back. We're going to spot the ball on the 21-yard line. So Meadowdale taking the offensive snaps for only the second time tonight. The first drive led to a score that was concluded by a Malik Braxton 29-yard touchdown run. And let's see what they can do the second time around. Josiah Evans taking an end around, coming around on a sweep, is finally pushed out of bounds by Josh Hopkins, who's having himself one heck of a game tonight. Hopkins pushes Evans out on the 29-yard line, but not until Evans gains 8 yards. And a first or 2nd and 2. That's twin brother tackling twin brother there, as two starting quarterbacks, both of their twin brothers involved in that play there, one with the carry and one with the tackle.
All right, we have to go back in the book, see if that's happening anytime soon.
Yeah, if you've got records for that one, I'll be very impressed. So 2nd and 2 here, 10-12 to go in the second quarter. And immediately we get whistles here before the snap.
So just comparing the two offenses, looks like Meadowdale has no issue throwing on a down before third, on 1st or 2nd, where when Mountlake Terrace was throwing, it was probably a 3rd and short or 3rd and long. So this is a little pushing back a little bit, Meadowdale. decreasing their options a little bit. So we'll see how they come out for this play.
So 2nd and 7 here for Meadowdale. Hey, got a couple shout-outs for Arizona right now, too, if we could. Keep talking about the Hopkins tonight. Their grandmother and grandfather, John and Kathy Mitchell, are watching us in Goodyear, Arizona. Appreciate you two watching. You have to like what you've seen so far out of both number 7 and number 11 for the Hawks. As this is the quarterback, Evans, trying to find some room up the middle, and does. Finally gets tackled maybe a little short of the 31-yard line. Just a bit short of a first down. We're going to have a 3rd and short here coming up for the Mavericks. And while I'm at it, while we're doing Arizona, let's mention one more group of fans watching tonight. Not really fans, but Mountlake Terrace Hawks. Vince DeMiro, who
where is he tonight?
You've heard of him. He's been doing the games with us all year long, and he's usually up here in the booth with us. Vince is down in Peoria, Arizona, because his son Dominic, who is a senior at Mountlake Terrace, is playing for the Mariners junior baseball team, scout team. It's a group of high school students in the area that are a select baseball team, the elite of the elite, if you will. So Dominic was selected onto that team, and they are down at the Arizona Fall Classic. I hope I got the name right there. Playing against various other teams from around the West Coast, and I think around the world for that matter, too. And Dominic is actually going to be pitching in a game tomorrow. His team played a game earlier tonight against a select team from Hawaii. And last time I checked, they were losing that game 8-1, but it's still kind of a big deal. It's to be selected to play on this team to begin with is huge, and a nice honor for him. And so he and Vince are down there for the weekend playing baseball at the Mariners facilities in Peoria. And
congratulations, Dominic. And you think Vince is a proud papa right now? He's probably, his face is hurting from smiling so much. So
he's a proud
congratulations
papa.
To you, Vince.
Yeah, he's a proud papa, and he's also a happy papa because it's probably like 85 and sunny there, and he's probably wearing shorts as we speak. Meadowdale with a handoff. That's Braxton. Once again, Braxton's got room. Look out. He's still running. 30, 20, just pulling away. 69-yard touchdown. Mavericks on the board once again. Malik Braxton for his 2nd touchdown of the night.
Man, Braxton, when he cuts, he does not slow down. His feet doesn't look like they're long strides, but they are moving so quick, as obviously you can tell right there. Nice run. This kid's pretty special. I can see him definitely playing on Saturdays pretty soon.
He keeps running like that. He's going to be playing on Sundays in a little while as well. As Braxton, we've talked about it before. Had a chance to talk to his dad, Andre, before the game down on the field. By the way, he says that a cousin Bud in California is watching tonight. So Bud, what did you think of your cousin there? That was quite the run. Malik's been doing this all year long, and he's only a junior. So, hey, Wesco 3A South, you got this kid to deal with for another year after this.
For one more year.
And he's going to only get better. Kick by Schaefer is up. Kick by Schaefer is good. And with 9:31 to go here in the 2nd quarter, both teams scoring on both of their first 2 possessions of the game. We're going to take a quick break here on the Sound Live Sports Network with our score. Meadowdale 13, Mountlake Terrace 9.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the Westco Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the Westco Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the Westco Conference.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that Everett? 9-2.
And we are back again at Edmond Stadium, the Sound Live Sports Network. Meadowdale, after a 69-yard touchdown run by Malik Braxton, now holding a 13-9 lead, and they are about to kick off to Mountlake Terrace. Hawks, who have had 2 possessions thus far, 2 nice drives, one ending in a field goal, 32-yarder by Mikey Jensen. The other one, a 1-yard touchdown run up the middle by Malcolm Johnson. Let's see what the Hawks can do here on their 3rd possession as they now trail 13-9. And we get an immediate whistle before the kickoff. Got a couple more scores to report here as well. Jackson 28. This is a halftime score. Wow. Jackson 28, Mariner 26 at the half. So a nice little shootout going on up in the north end. And apparently there's a baseball game that broke out at a football game because Marysville Getchell beating Everett right now 9-2.
Yeah, it's a playoff season,
halftime.
Steve.
That might be Canadian rules. There could be a couple rouges in there, and we got a good score. But I'm showing 9-2 at halftime for that game. And then also John Richards, a.k.a. Superfan. John Richards texting me earlier to let me know that Shorewood and Shorecrest were tied at 14 at the half. John Richards, who is the newest member of Twitter, and giving us scores there from Shoreline Stadium.
Steve, on that first attempt to kick off, Meadowdale was offside, so they backed him up 5 yards and they'll kick again.
Schaefer's got the foot. Let's see if he can put this one in the end zone. Not this time. Ball is taken on the 5-yard line. Finding a little bit of space is number 44. That's Malachi Morrissey once again for his second return of the game. Morrissey, a newer player to the varsity squad here, 6 foot 170, only a junior, and he gets this one out to the 29-yard line where the Hawks will take over their third possession.
Well, so far it's been a little bit of a slugfest. 3 total possessions for both teams, and 4 total possessions for both teams and 4 scores on each possession. So now we'll see if Mountlake Terrace can answer or hold serve, if I'm allowed to use tennis vernacular.
Hold serve, however, they got a field goal out of one of those, so they're going to need to step it up a little bit, or at least hold Meadowdale at some point. Chance Ragsdale, student body right, breaks out of one tackle, is still pulling guys, and is finally brought down at the 39-yard line. Gain of 11 for number 3. Follows behind his big fella, number 72. That's Jevin Pawnui. And again, we mentioned this earlier. Pawnui missing a few different games this year with injuries. Back tonight. Caleb Davis, number 74, missing a game last week. Also back tonight. Put him in there, put both of those guys in there with Potter, number 54, Clippert, number 55. Got Parkins, number 56. And suddenly that offensive line is looking much more formidable than it has in earlier games this year.
Offensive line, and I got to say, Chance Ragsdale, with the few carries he has, got a lot of yards after contact, getting extra yards after defense hits him.
Malcolm Johnson with another carry. Nice submarine tackle there. That was number 17, Nicholas Neely, the 5'8", 170-pound junior, getting down low that time, taking him out at his feet. Had a little bit of help from one of his teammates as well, and they hold Johnson to a gain of maybe a half of a yard. And we're going to call this a 2nd and long 9 for the Hawks on their own 41-yard line.
Defensive coach, they got to love that. 1 running back, 2 tacklers, a half a yard gain.
And the one name we haven't called a lot yet, Jojo Alcaderi, number 57. He's the big man in the middle. 6 foot, 295. He's going to be playing on Saturdays eventually. Ragsdale trying to find room out to the left-hand side. Nothing doing at all. That's Jimmy Bruners one more time, the linebacker, making a nice open field tackle there. And Ragsdale losing 3 yards on the play.
Jimmy Bruners has one responsibility: keep contained. He didn't crash the pile once he saw the handoff. He stayed to his positioning, waited for the running back to come to him, and he got a 2-yard loss on the tackle.
Superfan John Richards just texted me another score. Shorewood, Shorecrest, end of the third quarter, tied up at 14. That's the Rotary Cup game. That's the game they play in Shoreline. Thanks, Superfan. We appreciate you listening, and we appreciate the text. Hopkins throwing deep along the right-hand side. He's looking for his brother, and it's picked off. And finding the sideline is number 38. He's still running loose and is finally brought down at around the 19-yard line of Mountlake Terrace. That was number 38. And we're going to have fun with this name here. That was Marguerite Ante Killup.
There was a late flag on the field. The interception and turnover will still stand because it was on the return, but it'll be a hold on Meadowdale. That pass is up in the air for a while. Mountlake Terrace receiver waiting for it. The safety going up, getting the ball before he can get it to Mountlake Terrace receiver. Caught it right on the sideline. I thought it was a good chance for him to step out, but the ref was right there, and he just stayed right along the sideline and ran 40 yards up the field.
And I almost didn't start calling the interception return because I thought he was stepping out of bounds there. He did a nice job of keeping his feet in, though. and was able to pick up a lot of yards after the play. As you mentioned, Dave, penalty's going to push it back, so not as much harm done to the Hawks. However, Meadowdale football already with a 4-point lead, and this still keeps them in Mountlake Terrace territory as they're on the 47-yard line. Jeremiah Evans back in shotgun formation. Rory Spillum, number 4, playing in the backfield. Trying to get a timing pattern to Braxton, of all people. I was wondering why he wasn't on the field. Turns out he was. He was lined up as a wide receiver because apparently he's not doing enough at the running back, right? Already with over 100 yards tonight, and just couldn't quite connect on that play, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 10.
Well, Mountlake Terrace defense pretty much brought the house there. Blitzing looked like 3 defenders. Meadowdale did a pretty good job picking it up, but there was no hot receiver for the Meadowdale quarterback to hit. So the pass just goes errant, and now it's 2nd and 10.
So Evans in shotgun formation again. He's going to pass for the 2nd time this drive. Finds his brother, or does he? No, he does not. Josiah Evans had the ball in his hands. It pops out, hits the turf. Incomplete, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 10.
That was a great throw. That was right in the chest, and Meadowdale's pretty lucky because not only dropped the ball, it kind of bounced up in the air a little bit, giving Mountlake Terrace a chance to pick it off, but it did eventually obviously hit the turf. So it'll be 3rd and 10. Nice throw, nice play call by Meadowdale. So we'll see if what they got here on 3rd and long.
So we do have a 3rd and 10 coming up for Meadowdale on the Mountlake Terrace 47-yard line. The Hawks looking to stop Meadowdale for the first time tonight. So far for the Mavericks, 2 possessions, 2 touchdowns. They haven't faced 3rd and long yet, though. We'll see what happens here. Ball is incomplete. That was number 25 on the play. Trevor White looking to make the catch, bobbled it. Ball was almost picked off by Brett Potter before it hit the ground as he dove in. Could not come up with a catch. That's going to bring up a 4th and 10, and Meadowdale will be on to punt. Hey, Dave, a couple other things I wanted to bring up tonight as well. The Mountlake Terrace football team and the football boosters would like to thank all of the businesses and individuals that donated to their big auction last week. Huge night for the Mountlake Terrace football community. And kudos to John Clippard, the football booster president, as well. I'll tell that story more in a minute. High snap almost goes over the punter's head. He's able to retrieve it. Gets off the kick. It's going to take a bounce. And it's going to take a terrace bounce at that. You never know where it's going on this turf. That was a 30-yard punt. Take that back. That was only a 24-yard punt as it bounced the other way. It's going to be spotted on the 22-yard line where the Hawks will take over with 6:45 here in the 2nd quarter. Anyway, to get back to that, big auction the other night. Auction raised $8,000 for the football team, and that is huge. I think a lot of folks are under the impression that football is funded by the school district and by other programs. It's not. Not to say that it's completely self-sustaining, but it certainly needs to raise a lot of that money on its own. And without that booster club and without that auction, a lot of things that this football program needs for jerseys and bus rides and things along those lines don't happen. Handoff there to Johnson. He finds a little bit of room and is finally tackled at the 26-yard line. Like to send a special shout-out, too, to some of the folks who were involved in that auction. Co-chairs Kerry Krause and Michelle Lampers. Sue Morin for doing procurement. Aaron Bates for decorations. Tara Zool for sound system. Mark Hopkins for doing the MC. For his ability to talk everyone into, including himself, into more money. He did plenty of that. Darcy Brooks, Scott Allen, Angelique McDowell, Kristen Garza, for everybody's help in keeping everyone fed and the beverages flowing, and to everybody else who donated to that, huge thank you for the Mountlake Terrace Hawks football program. And again, that's how these teams stay afloat, and that's how these players are out here wearing all this equipment. And every school goes through that, and Meadowdale as well. And again, kudos to the Mountlake Terrace community for getting that done.
All right, and you got to keep in mind that football is a no-cut sport. So if you want to turn out, they'll get you on the field, they'll get you equipped, and you're right, it costs a lot. The transportation is very expensive. They have coaches, they have some volunteer coaches, and it's great to see the community come out because football, in my opinion, more than any other high school sport, is the most community-centric in terms of events in the area, doing fundraisers for themselves, doing fundraisers for others. It's great to see that the Mountlake Terrace football program is continuing to move forward.
And speaking of trying to move forward, the Hawks offense here on 3rd and 5 looking for something. Hopkins rolling out, throws the ball, or does he? They're going to say it's a fumble. No, they are not. They are going to rule it an incomplete pass. Nice defensive play as Jimmy Bruders gets there to hammer Hopkins right as he cocks his arm back. Referees are going to say that the arm was going forward. Good news for the Hawks. It's not a fumble and not a turnover. Bad news for the Hawks. It is 4th down, and that's going to bring on the punt team.
That's back-to-back offensive possessions by Mountlake Terrace without putting any points up. But it was a half a second away from getting that throw off. Looking downfield, Mountlake Terrace didn't look like it was a receiver wide open, so you never know. But you're right. Luckily for Mountlake Terrace, that is an incomplete pass and will punt away.
And the punt is going to be handled by Austin Bates. We do get a whistle on the play as Bates had a high punt. It didn't go very far. And to give Bates a little bit of credit, he might have pulled up there hearing the whistle, but he is going to get another try as we wait to see what the referees are going to call here. So again, we invite everybody to stick around at halftime. Devontae Downs, the senior for the Mountlake Terrace Hawks, and I keep wanting to say arguably the best player in Mountlake Terrace high school history. He is the best player in Mountlake Terrace high school history. 55 touchdowns over his first 3 years in the program. Was an All-American candidate coming into the season. Tore his ACL at a football camp in June, missing the entire season. However, earlier today, and that punt is blocked. Meadowdale, and they finally followed it in the end zone. Touchdown, Mavericks. That was Nicholas Neely blocking the punt, and Nicholas Neely falling on the punt in the end zone as well. Meadowdale with a 19-9 lead with 4:51 to go in the half.
Yeah, looking at that snap, didn't look like it was that bad of a snap. I don't know if the punter just took a half second too long to get it off. There was no one breaking up the middle or from the outside on Meadowdale's behalf to get the punt. It was just the punter was surrounded. So nice heads-up play by Meadowdale to keep that ball in the end zone.
Neely, who's always showing his skills off on the defensive side of things. We've seen him making open tackles, seen him playing the ball well at his quarterback position, and shows that he can do a little punt blocking as well. And that he knows how to fall on the ball once it's on the ground. There is always nice when you block the punt and you get to reap the rewards on your own end. And
I know you're not thinking of last week's Seattle Seahawks at Indianapolis Colts game when Seahawks blocked the Indianapolis punt and only got a safety instead of the 7 points, but I've moved on from that game.
Neely might have been thinking about that as he made sure that ball wasn't going anywhere. Yep. Fortunately for him, the ball was kind of slowing down there at the goal line and didn't have to try what Mr. Jaron Jackson did for the Seahawks last week and grab that as it was going out of the end zone. But yeah, we've already moved on from that one because a ton of Seahawks fans are up in the booth. That wasn't a good day. Tell you who is having a good day, the Meadowdale Mavericks, and Mr. Schaefer there, Brett Schaefer coming in, kicking the extra point. It goes through the uprights, and Meadowdale, with 4:51 to go here in the second quarter, now has a 20-9 lead. We're going to take a quick break right now. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
If you're hungry before or after the game, visit Sorelli Pizza, located at 44th and 224th in Mountlake Terrace. Enjoy the best pizza in Snohomish County while watching your favorite sports on the 4 50-inch plasma TVs. Dine in or take out. They're open Tuesday through Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Call them at 425-670-8600 or visit them online at SorelliPizza.com.
And we are back again as the Meadowdale Mavericks, thanks to a blocked punt and return by Nicholas Neely, number 17. I shouldn't say return. He fell on the ball in the end zone, but Neely's the one that put it in the end zone to begin with as he blocked Austin Bates' punt attempt. And Meadowdale now with their biggest lead of the night, 20-9 with 4:51 to go here in the first half. Schaefer with another kickoff. Morrissey picks the ball up, finds a little bit of space in the middle, and is finally tackled down hard at the 25-yard line. And that's where the Hawks will start off their next possession with 4:44 to go in the second quarter.
So there's, like I said, 4:40 to go in the half. There's a lot of time here for Mountlake Terrace to score, but they have to be careful to keep the clock running and hopefully get at least one first down if you're Mountlake Terrace. In case you don't score, you don't want to give the ball back to Meadowdale with enough time for them to score. But with 4:44, enough time for them to move down the field.
Yeah, and keep in mind, too, Meadowdale gets the ball first in the second half. So if you're the Hawks, another score by the Mavericks here before the end of the half would not be a good thing, knowing that you're not going to have the first possession in the third quarter. Ragsdale, finding a little bit of room off right tackle, dives forward to the 31, a gain of 6 for Chance. Should also point out tonight at halftime, the cheerleaders for both MTHS and Meadowdale will be performing together using pink pom-poms to bring awareness to breast cancer. Obviously, Breast Cancer Awareness Month is October. Also noticing that Meadowdale and Glacier Peak will be joining forces on October 25th, which, by the way, should be a huge, huge game. Probably going to be the game that decides who's going to win the South Division. They will be joining forces to bring awareness to dressing in pink for a pink out in the stands. So they're going to be hoping that all of the fans that show up on October 25th, whether you are a Glacier Peak Grizzly or a Meadowdale Maverick, wear pink that night. It's pink out in the stands. And, let's do something special there. It's obviously a big thing, something that's very near and dear to my heart. I'm the son of a breast cancer survivor, so I always like to see the pink going out there in the month of October, and love to see those fans filled up that night. Malcolm Johnson with that last carry, by the way, 6-yard gain for a first down. Hawks on first down coming right back at the running game. Chance Ragsdale trying to find room over the left-hand side, tackled after a gain of 3.
You wonder with 3.5 minutes to go in the half how much more Coach Yalowicki wants to keep the ball on the ground, or you want to start throwing downfield a little bit more for getting scoring range.
Got a couple more scores here to pass along to you, too. The Marysville-Pilchuck Tomahawks beating Stanwood 44-17 in the third quarter. Boy, Marysville-Pilchuck, just a machine this year. Got Joyner at running back, Luton at quarterback. Ranked third in the state right now. That's going to be a tough team for any opponent. Hopkins back to pass. Hopkins going down. Number 17, Nick Neely, with a block punt and a touchdown just moments ago. Now coming through off of his corner position for the sack. Neely having a big second quarter here. Loss of 6. We're going to call that a loss of 4, apparently. 3rd and 11 on the 36 for the Hawks.
Yeah, that reminded me of the last possession for Mountlake Terrace, to where the quarterback just needed 1/2 second more to get the throw off. But good pursuit by Meadowdale to get the loss, tackle for a loss.
So again, Marysville-Pilchuck 44-17 over Stanwood, third quarter. Another third quarter score out of the West Coast South Division. Glacier Peak playing a non-conference game tonight against Bothell, the always tough Bothell Cougars. Cougars having their way with the Grizzlies right now, 35-9 in the third quarter. Ragsdale looking for room along the right-hand side. Doesn't find much of anything. Is finally pushed out of bounds. Tackled out of bounds on the 37-yard line.
And you got to think the Mountlake Terrace coach is a little upset with that. I'm sure they ran the ball wanting to tick off a little more time before they had a punt. But unfortunately for Mountlake Terrace, the run went out of bounds, not stopping momentum or forward progress. So the clock stopped.
Yeah, not a good thing if you're the Hawks. You definitely wanted to keep that one in bounds. And Ragsdale going out, meaning that they're going to punt the ball on a dead clock here, 2 minutes to go. And as we mentioned earlier, the last thing you want if you're the Hawks is to give Meadowdale a chance at getting another score, knowing that the Mavericks get the first kickoff in the second half. Bates gets that one off high. It's going to be a short kick, and the Hawks can only hope for a bounce. And unfortunately, Drew Clippert grabbed the ball before it was done bouncing as well. 23-yard netted punt there. Not what the Hawks needed right now, as the Mavericks are going to take over on their own 40-yard line with 1:51 to go here in the second quarter.
Yeah, if you're Meadowdale, you're happy that it only ticked off 9 seconds, because if the Mountlake Terrace special teams let the ball roll around for a little bit more, they could have got at least 10 more seconds off the clock. But we'll see just under 2 minutes what Meadowdale can do after on 40.
And here come the Mavericks up to the line of scrimmage. 1:51 to go here in the second quarter. They already lead Mountlake Terrace 20-9, and they're looking for more here as we start to tick down towards halftime. Evans throwing into the middle. Incomplete. Braxton had that one go right through his hands.
I got to tell you, if you're the Meadowdale quarterback, you got to be thinking, what else can I do? That's 3 passes in a row. I hit my receiver right in the hands, and they drop it. So luckily for Meadowdale, when the ball's hopping around, it's not getting picked off. So it's only 2nd and 10.
And we do have a penalty of some sort out there. We await the call.
Indication on a penalty against Meadowdale. Ineligible receiver.
Ineligible receiver downfield, which makes sense because I don't know if you noticed, Dave, Braxton had the ball go right through his hands, and then one of his linemen, I want to say it was number 54 on the play, had the ball bounce off of him, and I didn't think about it at the time. How would number 54 be beyond number 5 when the ball is thrown into the middle of the field past the line of scrimmage? That is an illegal play, and consequently that's going to move Meadowdale back.
He's just looking to block someone, Steve.
I always feel bad for those guys, too, because...
they put so much effort in.
Yeah, well, it's the center, by the way. That's Kyle O'Brien, and we only call those guys names half the time when they get called for penalties.
Yeah.
And Meadowdale has a very good offensive line, so that shouldn't be the case. Nice catch and run. That was number 84, Charlie White, making the catch. That is a gain of, I guess we're going to call it 23 yards on the play. Eddie Clossy making the tackle, but not before Meadowdale picks up a very big first down. Clock is running now with 1:35 to go here in the second quarter. And Evans back in the shotgun, takes another snap, throws it over the middle, finds a wide open number 85, Philip Thomas. Thomas with a gain of 9 yards.
Does not look like it's first down, so the clock will keep running.
Gets tackled at the 33-yard line, and Meadowdale, knowing that the clock is running, is going to call a quick timeout. So 1:23 to go. Meadowdale with plenty of time left here. If they can keep moving the ball the way they are right now, they already have an 11-point lead. I'm sounding like a broken record, but they do get the ball first in the second half again, which is going to be big. Hey, one other thing we want to point out here while we're at it, we talked about some fundraising earlier. How about this? Last Saturday at the 5th annual Edmonds Public Schools Foundation 5K Run Walk benefiting the Edmonds Public Schools, they had a record number of 691 registered runners and walkers, and they raised over $41,000, more than double what was donated last year. All that money going towards the Edmonds Public School Foundations. Event proceeds will fund important programs like after-school study time, technology, and classroom projects. Lyndale Elementary, congratulations to them. They had the most walkers with 53 dedicated students, parents, and teachers. Got a few honorable mention schools that we'll mention here in a second, too, as this is important stuff, and we definitely commend everybody within the school district for raising $41,000. Wow. Great job. And a little bit of movement there as Jonathan Kim, number 8, the wide receiver, may have jumped up there on the right-hand side. That's going to move the ball back 5 yards.
43,000?
41,000.
That's a chunk of change.
That's good money if you can get it. So again, Lyndale with 53 walkers. The next 3 schools: Briar Terrace Middle School, the Bulldogs,
Braves.
Once upon a time, yes, back when you and I were kids. Evans drops back to pass on 2nd down and 6. Little screen pass to his brother over the middle. Josiah falls forward and gets the first down at the 32-yard line, and that will move the chains with 1:15 to go here in the second quarter. Cedar Valley Community School with 46 walkers, and hey, Meadowdale Middle School. I think some of these players and the students out here that are wearing the blue tonight might know a thing or two about that school. Another penalty flag with 1:07 to go. So they had 46 walkers out there. 12 schools total had 20 or more participants, and each of those schools will receive a portion of the proceeds. And again, a huge day. And I should also mention, hey, Christopher Kratz, he won the race. It was a 5K run. Time of 16 minutes and 45 seconds.
Were you thinking about running that race, Steve?
I thought about it, didn't do it, but...
you didn't want to show off.
Well, funny story about that. We'll talk about that in a few minutes here, too. But I was supposed to be there and was not. And, again, like to commend everybody for being involved, including My Neighborhood News Network, which includes MLT News, Linwood Today, and My Edmonds News, all sponsoring that event. It's Josiah Evans with a big catch down to the 17-yard line, and Meadowdale moves the chains once again with 48 seconds to go. Brett Potter on the tackle once again. And so, again, huge 5K event. Congratulations to Deb Anderson, the executive director of the foundation, who we've gotten to know during these broadcasts, and for all of the money that they raised. Evans drops back to pass again. He's looking towards the end zone. Finds a man and just underthrows him as he was looking for number 84. That was Charlie White. Incomplete. We do have a flag down on the play with 38 seconds to go, and we'll see what the referees are going to call this time. So I was supposed to be at that event, Dave, because I don't know if you recall, I had a little bet with the Edmonds Woodway announcer on the Edmonds Woodway Mountlake Terrace game.
I do remember that, yeah.
And that's still going to come. We're going to still hold up my end of the bargain on that one, but they decided they didn't want to do it there. I lost a bet in which I have to have my head shaved.
Right, I remember that.
So we're still trying to figure out when we're going to do that. Maybe stay tuned. We might even do that during the broadcast here in the next week or two. Who's
got scissors?
Teresa Whipple and Angelo Camo. We're going to try to use it as some sort of a fundraiser, but we invite you to tune in to, I don't know, maybe the Mountlake Terrace Shorecrest game we're going to broadcast next week, Teresa. Maybe, maybe not. We might do a head shaving at halftime.
You still haven't answered why you weren't there at the run.
Evans drops back to pass. A nice hold there right in front of the referee. I don't think he saw it. Wow.
Nice play.
Ball is thrown incomplete as Jevin Pawnui, number 72, broke loose. Number 72, Aaron Yared, the offensive lineman for Meadowdale, grabbed him by the jersey, complete hand on jersey, pulled him down. The refs didn't see it, though, so no penalty, and that brings up a 2nd and 15. And again, if I'm going to keep calling these guys names, I want to mention some things here. The Meadowdale starting offensive line, you've got Jojo Alcaderi, number 57, Garrett Hall, number 58, Kyle O'Brien, number 54, playing center. Your right tackle is number 72, Aaron Yared. And number 52, Timothy Smith, is your right tackle. These are guys that have just been playing outstanding all season long. Having Braxton running the ball and Spillum for that matter, it's a nice combo. And as soon as I give them a compliment, a quarterback sack there is Jevin Pawnui along with Billy Parkins making the tackle. But we'll go back a play before that, before they let the two players through. Those 5 linemen that I just mentioned are having an outstanding year for the Mavericks, and again, they're 4-1 so far in the season. The way they're going right now, they might be 5-1 after tonight, and those guys right there get a lot of the credit.
I was on the same page with you right before this last play where they gave up the sack, that there's been probably at least 10 passes attempted by Meadowdale, and the quarterback had a lot of time to throw the ball, so they've done a solid job with normal protection and even blitz protection, protecting the quarterback.
Hey, well, we got a moment here. I guess I should answer the question you asked like 2 minutes ago. I didn't mean to sound like I was dodging it because I was not.
The viewers want to know, Steve.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
They demand to know.
I doubt that, but since you asked, that call was not made on my end. It was made on another end that they decided they did not want that to be a part of the event. But needless to say, we do want to use that as a fundraiser of some sort. We haven't decided how to do it yet, but again, I want to be a man of my word. So
transparency is important for you.
Absolutely, and transparency you might see right through my head by the time this is all said and done.
Well, it's a good thing the sun ain't going to be out for another 8 months, so you don't have to SPF up.
No kidding, right? But yeah, we'll be doing that eventually, and stay tuned for that. As Evans drops back to pass, 20 seconds to go here in the half, throws a screen pass out to Spillum, and he is hit immediately by number 5, Mikey Jensen. Jensen doesn't make the tackle, but he does hold him up until his teammates can get there. Spillum's going to lose a couple of yards. Actually, they're going to call it a no gain. And with 12 seconds to go here in the half, Meadowdale's going to call a timeout, presumably to kick a field goal here to try to take a 14-point lead into the half. And Brett Schaefer, the junior kicker, 5'9", 160, is on the field, ready to attempt a 42-yard field goal. If you're a novice to football, I'll tell you right now, 42 yards is a long field goal for a high school kicker. But I'll also tell you, Brett Schaefer is a very good high school kicker.
He's a good kicker. There's turf, and he's kicking off a tee. So if the snap is snapped cleanly and held cleanly, it's a pretty good opportunity for Meadowdale to put 3 more up before going to halftime.
Got another score here now as Edmonds Woodway still leading Kamiak 42-18 at the end of the third quarter. And that is actually a game for first place. Both of those teams were tied for first place coming into tonight in the 4A South division of Wesco. And unless Edmonds Woodway has a complete meltdown in the fourth quarter, they will have sole possession of first after tonight's game. Schaefer, the kick is up. The kick is short and maybe even off right a little bit. No good. 7 seconds to go in the half. And unless Mountlake Terrace tries something of the Hail Mary nature, I doubt they will. I'm guessing we're going to see a knee taken here. It's looking as though we're going to go into halftime with a 20-9 score.
Well, for Mountlake Terrace, they got to be thinking a couple things. They've been playing well. There's a couple big plays, obviously for a Meadowdale that gave them 14 points. The block punt, an obvious one, and then the incredible run by the Mavericks, a 50-yard run up the sideline, and it was just one missed tackle, and the running back was gone, cleared in the end zone. So that's 14 points right there. 40 points that count, of course, but it's just a couple little plays.
And this is very interesting. The Hawks here, looking at a 1st and 10 on their own 20, with only 7 seconds to go, are bringing out a 4-receiver set, something we hardly ever see them run. Trips to the right. Hopkins is going to throw the ball deep. Up for grabs. Intercepted. That was number 85, Philip Thomas, with a pick. Second interception of the night for Meadowdale. And that will end the first half of play. Live here at Edmond Stadium, your score, Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 9. Start your bachelor's degree at Edmonds Community College. You'll find many classes to choose from, such as education, science, or engineering. You can also get the right skills for jobs in business, technology, or healthcare. Find out more at edcc.edu/getstarted. Big, start your future at Edmonds Community College. You can live on campus in our dorm, play for one of our sports teams, or go above and beyond in honors, undergraduate research, or by writing for our college paper. Enroll now at edcc.edu/getstarted. So again, your score here at halftime, Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 9. We're going to run a quick commercial, but we invite you to stick around. When we come back, the one, the only, the future Cal Bear is going to join us, Devontae Downs. You're
hey,
watching
sports
the
fans,
Sound Live
do you want to
Sports
know
Network.
when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up-to-date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook, and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
If you're hungry before or after the game, visit Sorelli Pizza, located at 44th and 224th in Mountlake Terrace. Enjoy the best pizza in Snohomish County while watching your favorite sports on the 4 50-inch plasma TVs. Dine in or take out. They're open Tuesday through Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Call them at 425-670-8600 or visit them online at SorelliPizza.com.
And we are back again on the Sound Live Sports Network, where your halftime score, Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 9. And I'll tell you what, the Hawks are down by 11. They could use this guy right now. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen. This is Devontae Downs, number 1 in your program. And a guy who we've gotten to watch a lot over the last 3 years, 55 touchdowns in 3 years, DJ.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, torn ACL's keeping you out your senior year. However, special things still happening for you. Let's talk a little bit about what happened earlier today at Sorelli. As you were picked to be on the U.S. Army All-American Bowl football team, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, let's talk about what that involves. 90 different players throughout the country have been selected onto this team.
Yeah.
Out of the thousands and thousands of students who play high school football, only 90 players, and this is one of them right here. Devontae, when did you find out that you had been selected to this team first?
Right before spring football started, one of the members of 24/7 Sports, high school recruiting agency website, he texted me, asked me if I would like to be involved and participate in the game, and I accepted right away.
Now, when you tore your ACL, were you concerned at all that they might pull this opportunity from you? Did you know that they were going to still give you the opportunity to go to San Antonio?
Well, at first I didn't know, but then I talked to the same guy that texted me, and he kind of like reassured me that he's going to try his best to get an answer because he wasn't in charge. But then later on, probably like 2 weeks after, I got the confirmation that I was still allowed to go.
And we should talk about this too, because I know that I've already gotten text tonight saying that King 5 was actually at the press conference today, which took place at Sorelli Pizza. And I know for a fact that this was already running on King 5 News earlier today. So people are knowing who you are now and are seeing this. The United States Army was actually in attendance today. A couple folks from the Army, one representative from the game, Coach Umayam, Principal Greg Schwab, a whole slew of folks were there. It was a big deal.
Yeah.
And for you to get that kind of attention, it must have been kind of fun for you.
Yeah, at first it was I was a little nervous, but right after I gave my speech and talked to the camera and talked to all the people and appreciated it, and gave them appreciation for coming, showing support, I lost my nervousness and I was at ease.
And the game is January 4th in San Antonio. Now, you're going to fly down a few days before the game?
Yeah.
Now, what all do you get to take part in? I know you're not going to be playing in the game with the knee injury, but what types of things do you get to do when you're down there? Do you know?
I believe they give you like trading cards, like baseball cards, but for football players, and you get to spend like a couple hours for one day signing your autograph and just meeting the fans, because there's a lot of people that come to the game, about like 50,000 or something like that, and you just get to interact with all the players and all the fans.
And now one of the things that a lot of the players are going to be doing that day is introducing to everybody else what schools they're verbally committing to.
Yeah.
You've already done that. Let's talk about your decision a little bit. You are going to be a Cal Berkeley Bear for the next, I said 4 or 5 years earlier. Your dad looked at me and said maybe 3. He's thinking you're going to go pro. Well, we'll hope so. That would be nice. But talk about your decision a little bit. What all went into that, and how comfortable are you with your decision?
I'm 100% comfortable and confident. What drew me to their program was their academics. It's the #1 public school in America. And what also drew me is how comfortable I felt with the coaching staff and at the campus with everyone there and the current players as well, and the recruiting class that they're bringing in now.
So you're excited to be a Bear?
Of course.
Now, when do you heading down in the fall then? Is that correct?
No, I'm heading down in the winter, like in January, because I'm graduating early. I've been doing running start programs since last year, and I've had this plan since like freshman year.
Now, obviously, your intent is to play football down there, so let's talk about the injury a little bit. How's the knee doing? How's the rehabilitation coming along, and what's your timeline?
It's doing really good. Luckily, well, not luckily, but the best out of this situation is I only tore my ACL. Normally, you tear like PCL, meniscus, or whatever other stuff. I only tore that, so I'll be out until about spring ball, I'm hoping for, because my physical therapist told me I'm coming along faster than 95% of the other people he's worked with, which is really good because I've already started running on a treadmill. And it's really good, yeah.
So we could maybe even see you out there on the field in 2014? Is that what I'm hearing?
Definitely. That's the goal.
Okay, so we know a lot of folks out there are Huskies and Cougars, but this is an easy guy to root for here. He's one of our own. He's a Mountlake Terrace Hawk. He's a Westco player at that, so if you're watching from Meadowdale, always fun to watch those guys too. And Connor Hamlet, by the way, playing at Oregon State right now from Meadowdale. Could see a little Meadowdale Mountlake Terrace matchup there eventually, right? Maybe a little Beavers versus Bears. Well, again, hey, Devontae, congratulations on everything that's happening for you here. I know this isn't quite the way you had diagrammed your senior year to go, but for Cal to stick with you on the scholarship, for the U.S. Army All-American game to come out here today, it's again, it's kind of bittersweet, but it's still been a fun fall for you, right?
Yeah, definitely. Just making the light out of the best situation, making the best out of the situation possible, and keeping my head up, definitely.
And you're doing a great job, and you're doing well in school, too, I understand. So keeping those grades up, too. So, again, Devontae Downs, the pride of Mountlake Terrace, again, #1 all-time touchdown leader, and you only played 3 years, so that's not too shabby. Hey, Devontae, we appreciate you coming on here.
Thanks.
Thank you, and best of luck to you. And we'll see you in Cal Berkeley here maybe next year. We're going to take a quick break. Once again, your score at halftime at Meadowdale 20, Mountlake Terrace 9. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches, so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
And
The ball will be spotted at the 40-yard line. This will be a 50-yard field goal.
big. Start your future at Edmonds Community College. You can live on campus in our dorm, play for one of our sports teams, or go above and beyond in honors, undergraduate research, or by writing for our college paper. Enroll now at edcc.edu/get-started.
30 yards on that kick. Let's give Miss Evans another big round of applause.
And we are back live at Edmonds Stadium with our halftime score. The Meadowdale Mavericks 20, the Mountlake Terrace Hawks 9. We've got some stats for you right now here. These are unofficial stats, but this is what we have so far. Looking at some of the individual numbers right now. For Mountlake Terrace, Justin Hopkins, we've got him down as 2 for 4 for 32 yards passing. Both of his completions coming to brother Josh Hopkins. Rushing yards, Chance Ragsdale, 12 carries for 51 yards. Malcolm Johnson, number 9, the big fullback, 9 carries for 26 yards. And Jacob Walgren, Wally, as we like to call him, number 20, he's got 1 carry, but it was a big one, 48 yards on that play. For Meadowdale, Jeremiah Evans, the quarterback, 8 for 13 passing for 84 yards, 22-yard long pass so far for him. Rushing numbers, we've got right now, unofficially, Malik Braxton. I don't think this one's quite right. We've got him down for 3 carries for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns. We do have a few other unknown carries there, too, as I look over at John Clippard. So I think we're going to change that eventually. But 3 carries for 107 yards. And Malik Braxton with 2 touchdowns tonight. On the receiving end of things, Josiah Evans, 2 carries for 26 yards. Charlie White, 1 catch for 22 yards. And Philip Thomas, 2 catches for 6 yards. Looking at the overall numbers right now, total yards of offense, Meadowdale 218, Mountlake Terrace 158, so not a huge discrepancy there. Passing yards, if we break it down, Meadowdale has the lead 84-32. And then rushing yards, both teams doing well in this category, 134-126, Meadowdale with a slight edge. But the edge that counts the most is the number on the board, and that's where Meadowdale leads 20-9. Due in large part to a blocked punt that was returned for a touchdown by number 17, Nicholas Neely, and that's where we stand. Looking out at the outside here, I thought we had a special guest that was going to come in and join us, but I can't see if he's around right now. Apparently not. But we did appreciate having Devontae Downs in here. And again, if you're a Mountlake Terrace Hawks fan, you know Devontae Downs. You've been watching him for the last few years. And my guess is if you follow Wesco football very closely, you still know who he is. Just had a fantastic career at Mountlake Terrace, and really an unfortunate situation is I know a lot of the Hawks fans, as well as fans of just high school football in general, were really looking forward to seeing what he was going to be able to do this year. Having scored 23 touchdowns last year for the Hawks, did a lot of work in the offseason to work on his lateral movement, his quickness, got stronger and bigger as he was preparing to have a huge senior year, which he was hoping to then parlay into a nice college career, which he still hopes to do, by the way. But the senior year, unfortunately, things came up a little bit short as he tore his ACL on his knee. But it sounds, after talking to him, as though things are going well. The knee is healing nicely, and he's still looking at that scholarship. So we're looking onto the field right now. The Meadowdale Mavericks coming through and running through the banner for the last time here at Edmund Stadium during the regular season. It is senior night here. 24 seniors being honored before the game. Should point out also, though, in 3 weeks during the crossover game, the West Coast South Division does have the home games, and therefore Meadowdale should have at least one more game coming up at Edmund Stadium. However, that one hasn't been scheduled yet. The remaining 2 games that we do know of for sure are coming up in the next 2 weeks, and those will both be road games for Meadowdale, one of which is against Eastlake next week. And then on October 25th, we've mentioned this already, a huge matchup, Meadowdale versus Glacier Peak on the 25th. That game, presumably, if this score holds up, will be for first place in the division. And the winner of that game, more than likely, is going to be playing against Marysville Pilchuck on November 1st to see who's going to win the Wesco 3A division. Both teams warming up right now. Clock is showing 30 seconds to go here before we get the third quarter underway. And again, Meadowdale will receive the opening half kickoff, and they already have an 11-point lead.
Well, I mentioned briefly in the first half, looking back at Mountlake Terrace last year, they were really a second-half team, both second half of games and the second half of the season, too. They really started to get all their engines clicking right when they started playing Glacier Peak and Meadowdale last year. Now, they lost both games, but like I said earlier today, it came down to the last drive of the game. So we'll see if the Mountlake Terrace coach team by Tony Umayam can keep that toughness. This is sort of not a one-off year thing anymore. They've been showing this year after year. So I'm kind of curious to see if they still come out with that sort of tough attitude that I've seen in the last 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, and again, this is a Meadowdale team that's very stingy on defense, does not give up a lot of points, which makes this even that much tougher, knowing that you're down by 11 against a team that 3 of their last 4 games has given up 7 points or less for an entire game, let alone a half. But as you mentioned, this is a Mountlake Terrace team that does tend to get better as the second half of the season goes on, and certainly we're seeing them move the ball better tonight. Mm-hmm. They've sustained a few drives, especially early on in the game tonight. We'll see if they can make any adjustments right now at the half, maybe come out when they get their first possession and do something that looks similar to what they were doing in that first quarter, as opposed to the second quarter where it almost appeared as though Meadowdale might have figured some things out. We're really kind of putting the clamps on. Yeah,
we'll see what coaching adjustments both teams make, but just the first half, I didn't see Mountlake Terrace getting whooped really on the offensive or defense side of the ball. There was a few plays, big plays, and they count by Meadowdale, and they made them count and got points for them. So that's credit for their ball club. But you say 11 points, true. It's only 2 scores, and in high school football, the ball bounces pretty funny, and there are a lot of turnovers normally. So we'll see if Mountlake Terrace can keep the head in the game and keep it close, and then we'll see what happens in the fourth quarter.
Hey, by the way, Mountlake Terrace, Meadowdale, Mercer Island, there's a lot of M's around this area. But, yeah, this game is Meadowdale, Mountlake Terrace, and Mountlake Terrace, the team in the white, about to kick off. As they've added a few more minutes to the clock. I mentioned just about 3 minutes ago that the clock was down to 35 seconds, and now I'm looking up and it says 56 seconds. So unless we went through some sort of a time warp, I think they added a few on there just to make sure. It is senior night here at Meadowdale, so perhaps they were giving them a little extra time. Hey, while I got a minute, I'm going to point out another event here. Edmonds Woodway Gymnasium tonight after the game, between 10 p.m. and 11:30. According to my watch, that means 30 minutes from now. The Fields of Faith event is taking place. This is a Fields of Faith is a peer-to-peer movement where thousands of students from across the nation gather on their school's athletic field to share personal stories and challenge each other to apply the game plan for life. Apparently, I believe this is a Christian Ministries group. Yeah, there's one name on here that I noticed in particular. Russell Okun, starting tackle for the Seattle Seahawks, is going to be a guest speaker tonight. Also featuring Shanna Zolman, former WNBA player. Student speakers, Justin Crushlow from Meadowdale soccer team, Elizabeth Johnson from Kings basketball and volleyball team, and others. And musical guest Barnabas and Amy T. Amy T is going to be at the house. So, again, we invite folks to come out to that. If you're in the area, come on over tonight and meet Russell O'Coon. That could be kind of a fun event. So, again, more information, go to fieldsoffaith.com. And that's just coming up here in a little bit. But until then, we are back to action as number 10, Donovan Evans with the return, getting tackled by number 80, Gabe Brady. And Meadowdale's going to take the ball over on the 25-yard line.
Well, if Russell Coon has an appointment for a half hour just across the parking lot here, I would got to think he's got to be somewhere around here, and he'd be kind of hard to miss. So I'll try to keep an eye out and see if there's any way we can get an update on his injury and when he'll be back in the starting lineup.
Yeah, well, the event itself, it says from 10 to 11:30. Perhaps he's coming on later on in the event. And I was thinking the same thing, though. You might think Russell O'Coon could be in the crowd tonight, so keep your eyes open for him. And we'll see. We'll see what side he's sitting on if he is. Let's see if he's a Terrace fan or if he's a Meadowdale fan. Malik Braxton almost going down 2 or 3 different times. Finally breaks away from tacklers, heads over to the sideline, takes a play that looked to be going for a loss and turns it into something as he's finally pushed out of bounds on the 30-yard line. A gain of 5, and that's going to bring up a 2nd and 5 for the Mavericks.
Malik Braxton, remember that name. He was cornered a couple times there, almost got tripped up, kept his feet, and not only did he not get tackled for a loss, he got 5 yards on that play.
Yeah, Braxton with over 100 yards in the first half alone.
And he's a junior.
He's a junior, and I don't think he's done running for the night. I think he's going to get a few more here eventually, maybe on this play. Fakes the handoff. That's Evans. Quarterback keeper spin move. Nicely done as Jeremiah falls forward to the 40-yard line, a gain of 10, and another Meadowdale first down.
Now that looked like a read option to where it looked like Malik was trying to get the ball from the quarterback's hands, but he kept it and ran around the right side where earlier we were talking about it looked like a design play, but that time it looked like there was a little bit of hesitation by the quarterback to read the defense. So if that's the case, the read option is coming to Wesco South football.
Yeah, and Jeremiah Evans, number 15, by the way, there is a penalty down. Holding on Meadowdale, that's going to put the ball back on the 25-yard line. Having said that, it was still a nice run by Evans, and that's the dual threat that Evans is right there. He's probably a running quarterback before he's a passing quarterback in some ways. He's done a lot with his legs this year. I know in their big win over Kamiak during the season opener, their game-winning drive in the fourth quarter, most of the yards actually came on Evans running the ball, and he's certainly capable of doing that. In the case of Meadowdale, he doesn't always need to because he's got Braxton. And as I say that, there he is again taking a play that should have gone for a loss or at the very least maybe a no gain, and he turns it into 6 yards.
Boy, if he's a running quarterback first, this kid's got a pretty good future because he's been throwing the ball a lot today. I know a lot of them came on the last drive of the first half just because they were fighting the clock, but he really zips it in. About touch, I haven't really seen much, but when he step backs and throws the ball, he's putting some zip on it.
Yeah, this is the third game we've broadcasted this year, and he just seems to get a little bit better with his pass in each game, too. And saw him hit his brother Josiah in stride for a 39-yard touchdown last week against Shorewood. And let's see what they can do here as he finds number 85 this time. That's Philip Thomas making what I think is his third catch of the night. Thomas picking up 11 yards and picks up a first down. I take that back. That was a 7-yard gain. Either way, first down for Meadowdale.
Yeah, that was
are on the 38-yard line.
That was a great catch because, actually a better hold because Josh Hopkins was right there to meet him when he caught the ball. So way to hold on to the ball.
And Hopkins, the junior, number 11, getting better and better as the weeks progress here as well. We've seen him on a number of tackles tonight. Ooh. Throws over the middle. Pass is complete. There's the brother-to-brother combination as Jeremiah finds brother Josiah over the middle. Threads the needle on that one as he had 2 defenders draped all over him. Josiah making the catch and is tackled at the 46-yard line after a gain of 8.
Another strong throw. He was getting pressured there up the middle from Mountlake Terrace. He just stepped in and zipped it in there.
Dexter Kemper, number 53, in on the tackle, along with Austin Bates. 2nd and 2 here for Meadowdale, leading by 11. 9:50 to go in the third quarter. Let's see what they dial up here. That's never a bad call right there. Malik Braxton finding room along the left-hand side off tackle. Picks up 14 yards and picks up another Meadowdale first down.
A lot of things happen at the snap of the ball, and plays usually don't go the way they're designed, but Meadowdale has to look at that tape later and go, this is a perfectly executed play, because Braxton didn't get touched till he was 12 yards past the line of scrimmage. Way to hold the blocks on the left side of the Maverick offensive line.
Braxton once again behind the quarterback, Jeremiah Evans. Evans in shotgun formation. Takes the snap. Hands off to Braxton. He finds a little room around the right. Cuts it back into the middle nicely. Finally getting tackled at the 32-yard line by Austin Bates, but not until he picks up another 8 yards.
A little misdirection on that play, not only just from the Braxton and the quarterback, but it looks like there's a guy in motion too, so it took me a second to see who had the ball.
And Braxton is always so tough. He just keeps those feet moving and shuffling the entire time. His lateral movement is almost second to none for anything I've seen in Wesco in the last couple of years. Very, very shifty and always finds spots. And this time it's going to be kept by the quarterback, Evans. He's not going anywhere. Slowed down, I believe, by that was Andy Colossi, number 4. I take that back. That was 42, Toby Munnis. Munnis holding his shoulder a little bit there. I'm not sure if that's... I know he had shoulder surgery in the offseason. Hopefully he's okay there. It might have just been a little bit of a stinger, but he's going to head towards the sideline. Munnis coming off of a game against Everett last week in which he had a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Yeah, I was watching him on that play, and he was the first one there. It didn't look like he really got hit, so I'm curious myself to see what's going on with his right side, because he's definitely favoring that right shoulder.
It appeared as though he was grabbing Evans by the jersey and might have pulled something as he was doing that, but again, we'll kind of keep an eye on that. 3rd and 7 here on the 37 as whistles blow before the snap. 7:52 to go here in the third quarter. Encroachment against Mountlake Terrace. And the Hawks, who have had trouble stopping this Meadowdale offense so far, are not making it any easier on themselves, as they're going to give them a free 5-yard gain there. That's going to bring up a 3rd and 2 for Meadowdale at the Mountlake Terrace 32-yard line.
It's a good sustained drive for Meadowdale to open up the second half, and right when Mountlake Terrace gets a tackle for loss, they do a bonehead play and jump off sides there. But this could be a big stop for Mountlake Terrace defense. Bend but don't break drive for them if they can hold him here.
And Meadowdale doing a nice job of sustaining and taking time off the clock for that matter too. 7:24 to go here in the third quarter. Already running 4.5 minutes off the clock.
Delay of game.
And we're going to get a delay of game call against Meadowdale. And that's going to push the ball back 5 yards again to the original line of scrimmage. And we're once again going to look at 3rd and 7 on the 37-yard line. Meadowdale, Mountlake Terrace. Big matchup here. Edmonds School District matchup. Speaking of which, a couple huge Meadowdale, Mountlake Terrace matchups coming up on Thursday night this week. I know you're excited, David. 2 different events. Number 1, and 2 teams that are vying for first place. We'll mention that in just a second there as Meadowdale runs out of the huddle and gets up to the line. So we'll call this play here with...
Yeah, it's moving on the left side.
Another movement here as we're having trouble on 3rd down getting a playoff here. Encroachment first against Mountlake Terrace. Delay of game against Meadowdale, and now false start against Meadowdale. So the 3rd penalty on this 3rd down here. Meadowdale losing that battle 2-1 right now. That's going to push them back to a 3rd and 12 on the 42. But Thursday night, I know there's a lot of Hawks and Mavericks that are excited for this. Girls sporting events at 7 o'clock over at Mountlake Terrace at the Terraceum. Big volleyball matchup between 2 teams currently in first place, the Mavericks and the Hawks. And then later on that night at 7:30 over at Linwood High School, the girls' soccer teams are going to play. Blitz here by the Hawks. Screen pass out to Braxton along the right-hand side. A whole slew of Hawks go over there to meet him. Braxton does pick up a few yards, but he's finally tackled at the 37, and that's going to bring up a 4th and 7. And Meadowdale now has to make a decision. And I should say, so that soccer game, a huge matchup also, as the Hawks, somewhat of an upset, beat the Mavericks a couple weeks ago right here at Edmonds Stadium. Both of those teams in second place right now behind, I believe it's Shorecrest for the lead in that division. And 2 big games between rivals, and it's always fun when the Mavericks and the Hawks get together no matter what sport it is. 4th and 8. Guess what? Meadowdale's going for it. Evans takes the snap, fakes the handoff. He's looking deep. Throws it over the middle. Ball is complete. And smart move by the receiver. That's number 8. That's Jonathan Kim. He needed 8 yards. He ran a 9-yard route, picked up the first down, slid down as he was making the catch. You can't draw it up much better than that.
Great play and smart play by the receiver. I see it so many times, let alone high school, but I see it in college and pros. When they need 9 yards, they go 7 or 8 and get tackled. So good heads-up play by the Mavericks there.
So Meadowdale, again, still driving the ball down the field here, almost halfway through the quarters. We're showing 6:05 on the clock. And Mountlake Terrace has yet to touch the ball. They might get it now, though, because look out! Braxton at touchdown. Malik Braxton runs to the left, cuts back to the right, creating an opening for himself, and at that point, nobody's going to catch him. Braxton with his 3rd touchdown of the night. And suddenly Meadowdale looking at a 26-9 lead with 5:57 to go in the third quarter.
This is the third time I'm going to say it tonight. He does not slow down when he changes direction. You've seen water bugs float across a lake. That is Braxton going downfield, just hops left, right, and then straight up to the end zone.
And Brett Schaefer for the 3rd time tonight, actually for the 4th time tonight for him, on to kick the extra point. Hawks rush it, but they can't get to it. The kick is up. The kick is good. And with 5:57 to go here in the third quarter, Meadowdale now with a 27-9 lead. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
If you're hungry before or after the game, visit Sorelli Pizza, located at 44th and 224th in Mountlake Terrace. Enjoy the best pizza in Snohomish County while watching your favorite sports on the 4 50-inch plasma TVs. Dine in or take out. They're open Tuesday through Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Call them at 425-670-8600 or visit them online at SorelliPizza.com.
Welcome back, Edmund Stadium. Steve Willits along with Dave Kostyk. Also joined up here in the booth by Angelo Camo and Teresa Whipple. Meadowdale Mavericks starting to pull away here. They now lead 27-9. Just watching that last commercial at the break, Sorelli Pizza. Normally I'd say I could go for some of that right now, but you know what, Dave? I already did. Had Sorelli earlier as I was at that press conference for Devontae Downs. Slice of the day, pepperoni and bacon.
Do they allow you to come back twice a day, or you only have a one-time limit, or how does that work?
I think you can go back. Unfortunately, the hours of operation have passed for tonight, so they're closed now, but they'll be open again tomorrow. I can't promise you that the slice of the day is pepperoni and bacon, but it will be something delicious. And if you're on 44th tomorrow, stop on by. Say hi to Kelly Dugan and the crew over there, and get yourself a slice of pie.
Also, their what I love, their chicken Caesar salad, excellent. And the small is huge. So just like their slices, you get one slice, it goes over the plate. So nice portion sizes served over there at Sorelli.
Good to see you're in mid-season form, by the way, there, as you once again talk people out of ordering extra slices by telling them the slices are huge.
They're going to go there. They're going to get extra to take home with them because eventually they have to close. So for a midnight snack, you always take another because pizza heats up incredibly well, especially Sorelli Pizza.
Very nice save here. Speaking of nice saves, let's see what the Hawks can do to maybe salvage this game here and see if they can't get something going. Ragsdale trying to find room around the left-hand side. Not a lot happening over there as he gets tackled on the 16-yard line. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 8 for the Hawks. And if the Terrace Hawks are going to stay in this game, they need to do something here quickly. Down by 18 with 5:30 to go in the third quarter.
Talked about the toughness Terrace has showed, particularly last year. This is going to be a great test. That was a perfect opening drive for Meadowdale. They probably couldn't be happier. So if Mountlake Terrace wants a test, here it is.
Handoff here around the right-hand side. Believe that was Ragsdale once again, finding a little bit of space as he picks up 4 yards. It's going to bring up a very big 3rd and 4 here for Mountlake Terrace. So as we mentioned earlier, Meadowdale playing their last regular season game of the year here at Edmund Stadium. The Hawks with 2 more games coming up, both of which will be broadcasted right here on the Sound Live Sports Network. 8 p.m. next week, Mountlake Terrace versus Shorecrest. And hey, if you're going to watch, football on Sound Live Sports Network, might as well watch the game before that as well. Edmonds Woodway versus Linwood. That's a 5 o'clock game. Again, that's October 18th. Nice completion there by the Hawks Unfortunately, Hopkins finding his brother, Josh, but he finds him a little bit short there. As we just talked about that a few moments ago when Jonathan Kim ran a perfect route for Meadowdale. Unfortunately for Mountlake Terrace, they run a shorter route and do not pick up the first down.
Yeah, so it's not only was it a shorter route, there were two defenders there. So if he caught it cleanly and not had to lunge forward for it, there were two defenders that were going to get him before the first down marker.
Austin Bakes back to punt once again. 3:58 to go here in the third quarter.
So one get the punter, three get down coach.
Bates catches it. This time he gets off a clean punt. A nice kick at that. Braxton fair catching it at the 47-yard line.
That's a great kick.
31-yard kick. So it didn't travel a long ways, but he got a lot of air underneath it, and that's exactly what you want when you have a kicker like Braxton or a returner like Braxton.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to take a quick break. 3:46 to go here in the third quarter. Meadowdale leading 27-9. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Where will you be after high school? Shoreline Community College offers training for rewarding careers in automotive repair, dental hygiene, early childhood education, biotechnology, and much more. Or earn an associate's degree and be ready to transfer to a four-year college. To learn more, visit shoreline.edu today.
And we're back.
Back again, and there goes Malik Braxton again. Finds some room around the left-hand side. Runs out of bounds there at about the... Let's see where they're going to spot that. Got three different referees as I wait to see which one's going to put the ball down. There we go, 37-yard line, a gain of 17 on the play. And another first down for the Mavericks as they are once again threatening into Hawks territory.
The ball on the terrace, 37.
Very familiar backfield there as Evans back in shotgun formation again. Malik Braxton standing directly behind him. Hand off to Braxton, looking for some room, evades one tackler, tries to bounce it out to the right-hand side, and the sophomore, Mikey Jensen, pulling him down from behind. A loss, which you don't see very often for Malik, a loss of 6 yards, which will bring up a 2nd and 16.
Mountlake Terrace thing, finally. We had so many hands on him before, but couldn't get him down. So not only do they stop him for a loss.
Sometimes you don't even get the hands on him.
Yeah.
Austin Bates had nice position there. And not to say that Bates was in the wrong there. He just lunged at a player who has super quick feet.
Mm-hmm.
Braxton jumped backwards and then made his way out to the right-hand side, which he's done so many other times tonight. However, this time a teammate was waiting for him, and Mikey Jensen made a nice tackle. 2:50 to go here in the third quarter. Evans awaits the snap, pulls back, looks deep. Complete. That's number 84, Charlie White. White picking up a first down, 19-yard gain. And the Mavericks have the ball on the Mountlake Terrace 25-yard line.
Evans with another gun right there. I'm telling you, this kid's got a cannon. He can get that ball downfield quick.
Number 53, Dexter Kemper making the tackle. But again, not until the Mavericks picked up a first down.
The Mavericks are having success both running and throwing the ball. If you're the Terrace defense, you got to be a little bit on your heels wondering what's coming next.
Evans handing off to Braxton. Braxton is brought down by Toby Munnis. And even on a play that doesn't look like it's going anywhere, it still gets 3 yards as Braxton just keeps those feet churning and always picks up some sort of yardage. Almost always, I should say, as we saw him lose yardage on a play just a few minutes ago. But it was a shocking play at that because we're not used to seeing him go backwards.
But it was good to hear Toby Munnis' name called because we were a little curious a few minutes ago, coming off the sideline holding his shoulder, so he's back on the field. It's good news.
It's 2nd and 7 here on the 22. Braxton looking for some room on the left, using that speed, trying to find the corner. Whoa! Cuts back and finally is brought down at the 11-yard line, a gain of 11 yards. I guess we're going to give Mikey Jensen the credit for the tackle there, but I think he was Jensen got juked out of his shoes, and then I think Malcolm Johnson hit him right back into Jensen's arms, and Jensen
might have got the worst of that one.
Braxton went down together, and I think Jensen did get the worst of it. Gets credit for a tackle, even though I think it was just kind of one of those turn around and he just happens to be falling into your lap.
Boy, has Braxton been having this kind of year the entire season? This kid is
He's
impressive.
been outstanding all year. 3 touchdowns last week, 3 touchdowns already tonight. Oh, by the way, there's a 4th touchdown tonight. Touchdown Mavericks. Meadowdale 33, Mountlake Terrace 9. Mr. Braxton continues to run all over the Hawks tonight. And unfortunately for Meadowdale, a player shaken up on the play. Appears to be Kyle O'Brien, number 54. Is up on all fours, so he is moving around, which is always a good sign. And limping off on his own, but he is going to make his way off the field. And crowd gives Kyle O'Brien a nice round of applause as he makes his way to the sideline. 1:12 to go here in the third quarter. Meadowdale now with a 33-9 lead as we await the extra point.
Well, I'll say his name again, Braxton. Looking at that play development, I've seen a few others when he'll string it out to one side, and you sort of see a small crease opening up in the blocking, and as soon as he sees it, I mean, I can see it too. He just hits it hard, and he's past that first line of defense, and then it's the linebackers and the safeties trying to bring him down, which is going to be a tall order for them or most safeties in the league.
So Brett Schaefer on to attempt his 5th PAT of the night. I should say it's his 5th PAT attempt. He's made 3 of the first 4, one of which was a bad snap. Ball is placed down by Josiah Evans, and the ball is kicked through the uprights by Schaefer, making the score 34-9 Meadowdale. We're going to take a quick break. 1:12 to go here in the third quarter. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Hey sports fans, do you want to know when and where your favorite teams in the West Coast Conference are playing? Who won the game last night and what the current standings are? Well, it's easy to find out on westcoathletics.com. The information is entered by athletic directors and coaches so you know it's accurate and up to date, making westcoathletics.com the place to view official scores, schedules, standings, and photos for all the schools and all the sports in the West Coast Conference. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook and check out westcoathletics.com, the official website of the West Coast Conference.
The Sound Live Sports Network is brought to you by Harris Ford Lincoln, celebrating 60 years in business in a newly remodeled facility. Harris Ford Lincoln is the largest volume Ford dealer in Washington State and was voted the best in Western Washington by King 5 Evening Magazine. Harris Ford Lincoln, located at 20006 64th Avenue West in Linwood. You can visit them online at harrisford.com.
And welcome back to the Malik Braxton Show. Not true we're on the Sound Live Sports Network. It just feels that way. Malik Braxton scoring his 4th touchdown of the night. And he is dominating this Mountlake Terrace Hawks defense. And consequently, Meadowdale holding on to a 34... Holding on to, that doesn't sound right, does it?
Grasping onto.
with both hands, a 34-9 lead over the Mountlake Terrace Hawks here with only 1 minute and 12 seconds to go in the third quarter of play.
In the fourth quarter at Goddard Stadium, Edmonds Woodway 56, Kamiak 18.
Just right over the intercom, Edmonds Woodway, and I actually have this down as a final. They defeated Kamiak tonight, 56-18. Warriors continuing to roll as they are now 6-0 on the season. And no big surprise there. Edmonds Woodway, year in and year out, John Groudwell has that team playing excellent football, and it looks as though they're on pace to do something big again this year. 50 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Hawks with a 2nd and 6 on their own 24. And as we mentioned earlier, if the score holds up, Mountlake Terrace will fall to 2-4 this year. However, they're far from out of it. They can win those last 2 games against Shorecrest and Shorewood. 2 very winnable games, I might add. That would give them a 4-4 record heading into the crossover game. And the winner of the crossover game goes to the playoffs. So the Hawks could, in fact, still make the playoffs even with a loss tonight. However, this loss would mean that there's absolutely no room for error moving forward.
Yeah, when you open the broadcast, we were talking about how it's very similar to last year. Now, it doesn't look the same because the scores against Glacier Peak and now what is Meadowdale isn't like what it was last year. But they lost the 2 games to these 2 teams last year, and it looks like they're going to do that this year. So if they can handle the Shoreline schools and then do the crossover, catch lightning in a bottle, start peaking your team's performance, you never know what will happen.
Yeah, and if we're going to start looking ahead, more than likely that crossover game, and again, I have to keep mentioning this, the Hawks have to win 2 more games first, but they're 2 teams that they could beat. If the Hawks are able to get to that crossover game, more than likely it's definitely going to be here at Edmunds Stadium. The opponent will probably be Stanwood, a team that Mountlake Terrace played first game of the year this year, a team that they lost to 29-13. But really, it was a game that was much closer than that. Stanwood converted a few very big plays. The Mountlake Terrace secondary, a young secondary at that, struggled with a deep pass that night. They've shown improvement in their deep passing game right now, so we could see a very different ball game that night, and a ball game that shows who goes to the playoffs. And we have come to the end of the third quarter of play here. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the fourth quarter of action, your score, Meadowdale 34, Mountlake Terrace 9. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
High school football on the Sound Live Sports Network is presented by the My Neighborhood News Network, South Snohomish County's online gathering place. Visit My Edmunds News, MLT News, and LinwoodToday.com for news, sports, and events about your community, and see what your neighbors are talking about.
We are back live here at Edmunds Stadium. TK Johnson, the big man, holding the camera. No, folks, that is not Russell Wilson. That is TK Johnson, student at Mountlake Terrace High School. And I'll tell you what, TK Johnson does a little bit of everything. He writes for the Hawkeye. He takes pictures for the Hawkeye. Edited some of our interviews we did earlier today. A very outstanding young man who's doing a lot of great work for the award-winning Hawkeye, I should add, one of the premier high school newspapers in the country, for that matter. So, TK, good to see you out there doing your thing, and we appreciate everything you do for us. As we are ready to play here, Hawks looking at a 2nd and 22 at their own 18-yard line.
Why didn't they switch sides? They were starting to, and then now they stopped and went back to where they were at the end of the third quarter.
That is a very good question as we start the fourth quarter of play.
Unless they need one more play before...
Yeah, we'll have to watch this here now. I've never seen this before. You are absolutely right. That is the first play of the fourth quarter, and the Hawks continue to go south to north, which is the way they were going in the third quarter.
The goalposts seem to be fine. I mean, sometimes if the goalpost is off, they'll...
If it's one of those things, 25-point game. There's no wind at all, right?
They probably want to see if anyone's paying attention. So we're paying attention. They start,
and apparently they heard you, David, because they're actually moving down the field now. I've never seen that before.
I bet what happened, there was probably 1 second left on the clock at the end of the third quarter, even though that clock said 12. See, now the refs were telling them to push the clock back up. So that's probably what they had on the field is different than...
Unless they're just saving face right now.
Look, I'm always backing up the refs. They're always... Well, no, what is happening, when we were talking about TK, they started walking to the right side of the field, stopped, and went back to the last line of scrimmage on the south side of the field, did the one play, and I came back here. I bet the play on the field, or a penalty maybe stopped. I don't know.
At any rate, they're on the right side of the field now, and I just thought they just didn't want to walk that far. Figured they'd get down there eventually anyway if Malik was going to carry the ball a few more times.
But, their sciatica was acting up, so let's just stay here.
So at any rate, they are going to move down here. 12 minutes to go, fourth quarter, 34-9. Meadowdale with the lead. Just kind of laid out the scenario for the Hawks a minute ago in terms of winning their last 2 games against Shorewood and Shorecrest to potentially set up a match with, it looks as though it's going to be Stanwood. Meadowdale, on the other hand, they play Eastlake next week, non-conference game, no meaning in the standing whatsoever, but then they get to the big game, October 25th, up in Snohomish against Glacier Peak. The winner of that game is going to be crowned the South Division champion. The winner of that game is going to get to, I guess, get the honor of playing Marysville-Pilchuck, the third-ranked team in the state. And if it's Meadowdale, they would actually get to play them in their home stadium here on November 1st. If it's Glacier Peak, they also get a home game. So Marysville-Pilchuck's going to travel either way. And the winner of that game wins the West Coast Conference this year. So Meadowdale with a lot to play for over the next few weeks. once they get past the Eastlake game.
But do those crossover games count towards playoff berths? Why would one play one?
The crossover games actually count in the sense that it actually determines where you're going to play your first playoff game. So
both teams are making the playoffs.
Both teams will make the playoffs at that point, whether you finish in first or second. It's just a matter of seeding and a matter of whether or not you're going to pick up an extra home game for it. But certainly if you're the 1 versus the 1 in the divisions, you're playing for the conference championship, and that's a big deal. That's a banner for you. Bates back to punt, almost gets that one blocked. Very close, and that was Neely again. Fortunately for Bates, as it lands a little bit short, it does take a bounce.
It was out of bounds.
They said it bounced out of bounds and then came back in. So Austin Bates only with a 26-yard kick as the ball goes out of bounds at the 38-yard line. Meadowdale already with a 25-point lead is going to have excellent field position with 11:13 to go as we await the penalty flag. Illegal procedure against Mountlake Terrace. They're going to decline that one.
You're talking about the team that fortunately wins has to, in quotes, is fortunate enough to play in Marysville Pilchuck. But I'm telling you, if you're the Pilchuck coaches tonight and you see this film, this Malik Braxton kid's going to cause some sleepless nights for the D coordinator for whatever team up north has to face these guys. Because this kid is... I mean, we've been watching a lot of football over the years. This guy really stands out.
If you enjoy premier running games, if Meadowdale and Marysville Pilchuck were to play each other on November 1st, you either need to be in the stadium here that night or you need to be watching on the Sound Live Sports Network. The running back up at Marysville Pilchuck, Joyner, only a junior, ran for over 2,000 yards as a sophomore, and he's only getting better. Already has Division I offers. Joyner against Braxton here, that's going to be one heck of a matchup. We're getting ahead of ourselves here. They still need to go and play Glacier Peak in 2 weeks. But
let's talk about their senior years next year.
But no kidding, right? I mean, they're both juniors and they're both outstanding. But it's fun to start looking ahead. If you are Meadowdale, that's the luxury of right now. You're already up by 25 here tonight with 11 minutes to go. You're going to win this game. You know that the Eastlake game has no bearing on the standings at all. So really, you can look ahead to Glacier Peak in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, it's kind of fun to start talking about what if they can get past the Grizzlies, too.
And for the next week and a half, Meadowdale coaches have the luxury of trying a different few plays they haven't used before, or trying some players at different positions, or just playing more players that have been backed up most of the time. So good opportunity for Meadowdale. Looks like number 58 of Meadowdale is cramping up there on the field.
Yeah, that's Garrett Hall, the 6 foot, 190-pound senior who's down on the turf right now. It is cramping up. Hey, I want to point out again, I think this is pretty neat. Looking out at the cheerleaders here as they, of course, as soon as I say that, they all take a knee for the injury. But cheerleaders on both Meadowdale and Mountlake Terrace sides with their pink pom-poms in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and even Herky, the mascot. For the, I don't know if we can get a shot of Herky here eventually, but we're trying to get him right now. Herky is down on a knee also for the injured Meadowdale player, but if we can... there we go. We got Herky on camera right now. There, his backside anyway. So Herky sporting the pink shirt, so good for Herky.
And the pink ribbons in the hair, very nice.
Pink ribbons in the hair for the girls. So we'll keep the camera on there for a minute when Herky turns around, or if Herky turns around. Good-looking guy, that Herky, too, right?
Handsome.
Handsome.
Debonair. And quite tall.
Very, very tall. Much taller than the ladies, I can see that. And I do like the pink socks on the Mountlake Terrace sideline as well. It's a nice touch. And like you mentioned...
we got the pink bandages and socks for some of the players on the Mountlake Terrace side.
Yeah, really, you got to credit the NFL for a lot of this, too. I don't know if you've noticed. The last couple of years in particular, they've really started wearing a lot more pink during the month of October, and I think schools at the lower level are starting to follow a little bit. Rory Spillum, by the way, on the carry there, gets tackled at the 35-yard line, after a gain of 3, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 7.
There was some news in the NFL with the pink towels that the refs throw. That last week is the last time I'm going to do that because it's getting too confusing with the pink towels for a penalty flag and the towels that a lot of the DBs have on the field. So the yellow flags are coming back, but everything else that was pink stays pink for all the games in October.
Yeah, and that was confusing. I know you've been watching the Seahawks game last week a couple times, and those towels fell out of jerseys, and everybody was fairly chaotic. Spillum looking for room, Spillum finding nothing.
A late flag.
Toby Menace on the tackle, also number 35 in the play. Sammy Abraha the 5'10", 215-pound junior who just recently became eligible to play, out there getting his name called for the first time tonight. But as you mentioned, there is a flag down as we wait to see what the call's going to be. So, Dave, it's time to start thinking a little bit about the Jersey Mike's Linwood player of the game. I think it's an obvious choice right now. I will tell you right now, going into tonight's game, I really did not want it to be Malik Braxton just because we had him up here and we interviewed him last week. And so generally speaking, you try to find another player to kind of mix it up a little bit. So I thought if any player had a comparable game to Malik, we would get them up here tonight. The guy's got 4 touchdowns, and he's had some amazing runs tonight. I keep saying amazing, but you know what? I've seen the guy doing it all year long, and it's not really even amazing at this point. It's just kind of
it's what he does,
doing what he does, and nothing surprises me with him at this point.
Well, the quarterback from Meadowdale had a solid game too. Again, you're right. Malik had an incredible game, but in terms of driving their team down the field, no interceptions for all the passes they had, not one interception. So the quarterback from Meadowdale also had a very, very good day.
Rusty Spillum fighting for yardage there. He's going to get forward for about 2 more yards. That's going to bring up a 4th and 5 on the 33. And again, when you're on the 33-yard line, hard to do anything but go for it, isn't it? You're not really going to punt here at this point. And I know Schaefer's got a strong leg, but I'm not sure he can hit a 50-yarder.
They're probably just going to let it go, keep the clock running, because both coaches know, and both coaches know, the other sidelines know that the game's pretty much over. So let's not get anyone injured, run the ball, and move the clock.
Yeah, we are now down to 9:20 to go in this ball game. And by the way, I do have a final score from Shoreland earlier. We again thank John Richards, a.k.a. Superfan, for sending this over to us. Shorewood beating Shorecrest tonight, 17-14. That is a final. An incomplete pass as Jonathan Kim was the intended receiver. That will be a turnover on downs. So as we mentioned, that game is significant to the Hawks because those are their next 2 opponents. Shorecrest next week, followed by Shorewood on homecoming night, I might add, on October 25th.
Ooh, a late one.
Both 8 p.m. games, by the way, for Shorecrest and Shorewood for the Hawks. But 2 very obviously comparable opponents who played a game right down to the wire tonight. And congratulations to Shorewood as they are they're now 2-4 on the year overall. Shorecrest falls to 1-5, but more importantly, Shorewood picks up their first win in conference this year, which could end up factoring in later on in the season when we see who gets that number 3 spot out of Wesco South. Hopkins hands off. There goes Ragsdale finding some room, barrels over a couple of players, and is finally brought down at the 47-yard line, a gain of 20. And the Hawks down by 25 here with under 9 minutes to go. Picking up some momentum now and hoping to maybe get in the end zone and make this game a little more respectable as Ragsdale picks up a big first down.
He had 5 potential tacklers on him before he finally went down. Another run by Chance to get yards after contact.
Hopkins in shotgun formation, hands off to Ragsdale. Ragsdale running very hard right now. He has 3 guys take him out of bounds, but he refuses to go down. Pushed out after a gain of about 2 yards, and that's going to bring up 2nd and 8.
Hey, Steve, my Twitter feed is blowing up right now, and everyone wants to know, where are you watching the University of Washington, University of Oregon football game tomorrow?
Well, that is a very good question.
And they want to know who will you be cheering for,
well,
too.
You know I'll be cheering for the Huskies. I'm a little bit nervous about that game. I've got to be honest. I am a huge Husky fan and cannot stand the Oregon Ducks. But I was going to go to the game, and I'm afraid to get tickets because I'm afraid it might not be a very favorable outcome for my dogs. Ragsdale trying to find room around the right-hand side. Can't. Gets tackled after 2 yards, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 6. So,
yeah.
I'm a little bit nervous about going to that game, so I'm going to stay home and watch it, and hopefully I'll be pleasantly surprised. But if not, you can always flip it off and do something else, right?
I hear what you're saying. It could be a long, long ride home tomorrow from Husky Stadium if what you're thinking, I'm thinking is the same. That Oregon Duck team is not shabby. They're number 2 in the country, but some pollsters are picking them at number 1. And looking at both teams playing, I would say they're the best team in the nation right now. Alabama, with their reputation, well-earned reputation from years past, I think is why they're number 1 in the country.
Yeah, that Oregon offense is just a machine right now. As tackle is made there. I want to say that would actually, look at that. I did not expect to see that. That is Austin Bates with a carry. Bates, who had a couple of carries against Linwood a few weeks ago, running out of the Wildcat formation. This time he actually lined up as a tailback and picks up maybe a yard, and we're going to bring up a 4th and 5. Yeah, Oregon right now, that offense is just unstoppable. They just put up massive amounts of yards and points for that matter, and I don't know what their average is, but they've got to be averaging right around 35 to 40 points per half in the first half anyway in their first few games this year.
And they seem like almost a nameless offense. Doesn't matter who is back there holding the ball or running the ball. The results are always the same.
Hopkins to Hopkins, incomplete, and that's going to be a turnover on downs. That reminds me, there's a trivia question that you might know the answer to. Which one of the two...
Gary Glitter.
Which one of the... It's not Gary Glitter. Which of the two head coaches out here right now has actually had an interception in a college football game against Mark Helfrich, the head coach of the Oregon Ducks?
Let's see. If I go back to the annals, Tony Umayam, head coach of Mountlake Terrace when he was at Willamette University.
You are correct. I just kind of pulled that one out of thin air because I don't remember which school Helfrich played for, but it was one of the Oregon schools. And Coach Umayam, when he was a Willamette cornerback, did in fact
go
pick
Bearcats.
Off Mark Helfrich, and if you don't believe him, you can just ask him. He'll tell you. We say that because we're friends with Coach Umayam. I'm sure we'll hear about this later on.
He's got some other stories too. Whether they happen or not, I'm not sure, but he sells it with conviction.
I believe this one, though. I think this is fact. He did pick off Helfrich, but I think Mark Helfrich did okay for himself afterwards.
Yeah.
He's gotten over it. So Meadowdale taking over possession here with 6:48 to go in the game. And we have got a timeout by Mountlake Terrace. So we're going to take a quick break here. 6:48 to go in the game. We invite you to come back. We've got more fun anecdotes for you, and eventually a Jersey Mike's Player of the Game. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
The Sound Live Sports Network is brought to you by Harris Ford Lincoln, celebrating 60 years in business in a newly remodeled facility. Harris Ford Lincoln is the largest volume Ford dealer in Washington State and was voted the best in Western Washington by King 5 Evening Magazine. Harris Ford Lincoln, located at 20006 64th Avenue West in Linwood. You can visit them online at harrisford.com.
And we are back at Edmond Stadium. 6:48 to go here in the ball game. Meadowdale leading Mountlake Terrace 34-9. And not only that, Meadowdale still has the ball. 1st and 10 at their own 42-yard line. Jeremiah Evans still in at quarterback. Hands off to Spillum. Finds some room, cuts it back. Makes another cut, and he's still on his feet, and he's still going. Spillum is finally dragged down by Brett Potter, but not until he picks up 37 yards. Nice run by Rusty Spillum. Rory Spillum.
He looked over Malik and say, "How you like that?" That was a nice run. I'll Malik Braxton in terms of going one direction, quick cut back to the other, and see the defenders miss. Nice run.
Yeah, and Spillum also only a junior, so they've got a nice 1-2 punch back there. We interviewed Malik Braxton after the game last week and asked him about that. Mentioned that Rory's his buddy, and they play off of each other very well. And they're, as he mentioned, number 4 and number 5, back-to-back numbers, and they're back-to-back players. They come in and relieve each other at times, and Spillum now getting his carries in the fourth quarter, and we see that he is every bit the back that a lot of other Wesco running backs are. He just happens to be stuck at a school where plays behind one of the best. Spillum trying to find room in the middle, cuts it back, and is finally tackled at the 20-yard line, gain of 2, and that will bring up 2nd and 8 for the Mavericks. And see, this is what happens when I start talking about the Huskies and potentially losing to the Ducks tomorrow.
No.
Vince DeMiro is tweeting me right now. Again, Vince is usually on our broadcast with us.
He's a Coug. Don't let anyone fool you.
And yeah, he is a Coug, and he's saying, so what you're saying is the better game tomorrow is Washington State, Oregon State, right? Go Cougs.
That's a good game if you want to nap and you want to catch up on some Z's. Watch that game.
And with 5:10 to go here in the ball game, apparently we're going to get a timeout here. Meadowdale calling a timeout this time. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Clogged drain? Other plumbing problems? Call Action Jackson Plumbing for 24-hour service. Owned by a lifetime Edmonds resident and Edmonds Woodway grad, Action Jackson is the drain cleaning specialist. They can unclog most internal drains for only $99 plus tax. Call 425-877-5601 or visit actionjacksonplumbing.com.
Welcome back to Edmonds Stadium. 5 minutes to go in the game right now. Rory Spillum trying to find some room out to the left. Can't do it. Toby Munnis on the tackle. 3-yard loss, which is going to bring up a third. And we're going to call it 11 right now on the 23-yard line.
Third down and 11 to go for the Mavericks. Ball sitting on the hawk, 23.
So at this point, Meadowdale just letting that clock run down. 25-point lead. They don't really need the points right now. They certainly don't want to make it look like they're running up the score either. But at the same time, you can't exactly lay down or take a knee. See what the Mavericks do here on 3rd and 11.
No, there's probably a lot of kids on the field that don't get to see that much time, and they know they want to run the clock out, but they still want to make some plays.
And Evans this time taking off on the left-hand side. The quarterback keeping the ball.
Jeremiah Evans
comes up just a bit short as we're going to look at about a 4th and 1 right now after a gain of 10 yards.
Down to the 13-yard line.
So 4:08 to go here in the ball game. 4th and 1.
4th and a yard to go. The ball just sitting outside the 13-yard line.
And as we mentioned a minute ago, Meadowdale, I was going to say not trying to put points on the board, but it looks like Schaefer's coming out to maybe try a field goal.
Brett Schaefer in attempt.
30-yard kick for Schaefer coming up.
Out of the hole to Josiah Evans.
And Meadowdale, apparently realizing that they were running low on time, I think, with the shift, we're going from the offensive unit to the field goal kicking team, calls a quick timeout. I don't think that was intended to figure out what they wanted to do. I think more than anything, that was just to prevent themselves from picking up a 5-yard penalty, as Schaefer will almost certainly try the field goal here after the timeout.
Well, they probably have a lot of younger players that don't see much action also on the special teams unit, so just making sure they're all on the same page.
So 30-yard field goal attempt coming up by Schaefer. Kick is up, and the kick is good. So Schaefer hitting his first field goal of the night. And with 4:03 to go here in the ball game, Meadowdale increases their lead to 37-9. We're going to take a quick break. You are watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
If you're hungry before or after the game, visit Sorelli Pizza, located at 44th and 224th in Mountlake Terrace. Enjoy the best pizza in Snohomish County while watching your favorite sports on the 4 50-inch plasma TVs. Dine in or take out. They're open Tuesday through Sunday at 11:30 a.m. Call them at 425-670-8600 or visit them online at sorellipizza.com.
Welcome back on the Sound Live Sports Network. Meadowdale 37, Mountlake Terrace 9. The Hawks, who at one time tonight had a 9-6 lead, and ever since that time, it's been all Meadowdale, 31 consecutive points. And at this point, if you're Mountlake Terrace, all you're trying to do is maybe get on the scoreboard again, get that score into the double digits, and make it look a little bit better, right?
That or, just keep playing tough. Like I know Coach Umine tries to instill these players. Everyone knows the game's pretty much over, but we want to see what kind of character the players, and I bet also on the Mountlake Terrace's side, there are some players out there that don't see the field very much. So this is a good time to start showing off for your position coaches.
And that Mountlake Terrace team, as we've discussed before, really decimated by injuries this year. I know I was talking to one of the coaches last week. I was trying to get a two-deep roster, which is fairly common when you're broadcasting, so you can see who the starters are and the backups. And one of the coaches made a joke to me. I said, "Do you have a two-deep roster?" He said, "Two deep. We barely have a one-deep." And it's true. There aren't a lot of numbers out there right now, and so for them to get a lot of action, there's not a lot of players to do so. Gabe Brady with his first catch of the night. Brady, who came into this game leading the team in receptions, finally picking up one here against Meadowdale, and that's good enough for a first down, and that's going to give the Hawks the ball on the 35.
You're talking about injuries. It happens to all teams, so no team's immune. It seemed like Mountlake Terrace definitely got hit pretty hard early in the year. You're talking about a potential crossover game with Stanwood for the winner goes to playoffs. A lot of injuries to start the season when we played Stanwood, when Mountlake Terrace played Stanwood first, and some of those players are back. So Mountlake Terrace will have a stronger team if and when they play Stanwood in the crossover. We'll have a stronger team than they had to start the year, I should say.
So no gain there. 2nd and 10 for the Hawks. Clock continues to run, 3:12. And as we mentioned before, we certainly invite you to stick around. We will have the Jersey Mike's Linwood player of the game. Jersey Mike's Linwood, always a good eat.
They're number 13, best sandwich on the board.
Well, there you go. There's a testimonial from our own David Kostyk there. I was looking around. We had some sandwiches up here earlier. I think our crew might have eaten them all, and I cannot blame them as
all right, we're doing only 5 o'clock games from now on.
The first crew ate all of the sandwiches, we're told. As Teresa Whipple brought in some Jersey Mike's Linwood, and the 5 o'clock crew ate the sandwiches, and the 8 o'clock crew, we just get to look at the wrappers and think about what could have been, I suppose. But, hey, Jersey Mike's Linwood, they're going to be open tomorrow. They're in Linwood. Head on up there.
And the 5 o'clock crew will probably be here next week, and we can slash some tires or something.
Jackie's the manager. Swing on in and say hi to Jackie and tell her you watched the game last night. And, hey, if you're a Meadowdale or a Mountlake Terrace supporter, thank them too, because those are the folks that really allow us to do what we're doing up here and to put these games on. So in all seriousness, Jersey Mike's Linwood, we appreciate that, and appreciate you sponsoring our post-game show. Hopkins rolling out to his right, thinks about running, cuts it back, and finally does. Nice play by him on 3rd and 3. However, depending on where they spotted, he might be a bit short. Although I saw a ref on the 44-yard line, but now I see another ref standing on the 45. And if that's the case, that would be a first down. And in fact, that is a first down. So nice job by Hopkins to lunge forward there to get that marker and to keep those chains moving. So, hey, once again, another quick reminder, next Friday night, another doubleheader here on the Sound Live Sports Network. Edmonds Woodway versus Linwood at 5 o'clock, followed by Mountlake Terrace versus Shorecrest at 8 o'clock. But until then, we've got some more football to play. As nice run there by Chance Ragsdale, number 3. He picks up 7 yards and another second down and short for the Hawks. And we are down to the final minute of the game here right now. 53 seconds to be exact as the clock continues to run. Hopkins there with a nice little trickery play. I think he faked himself out. Read option, I guess. Fake the handoff to your tailback, and once he goes by, turn around and fake a handoff to the invisible man. I finally had to just tuck the ball away and run. Lost a couple yards on the play, 4, and that's going to bring up a 3rd and 14 with 28 seconds to go here as the Hawks have to run at least one more play here before they get to head out to the locker room. Let's see what they can dial up here to end this game.
Yeah, talk about method acting. He was holding that ball out there, and there are no more running backs around there for him to hand it to, but he's just practicing.
9 seconds remaining. Ragsdale's going to take a handoff around the left-hand side. Finds some room. He's still running and is finally brought down at the 40-yard line, and the clocks show 0-0. Your final score here tonight at Edmonds Stadium, Meadowdale 37, Mountlake Terrace 9. Dave, again, what a showing tonight by Malik Braxton. What more can you say about the guy? 4 touchdowns. Unfortunately, we do not have stats up in front of us tonight as the stats are being kept a little bit further down. I've got to think he's close to 200 yards tonight. Every single time I've watched this guy play this year, he's just been outstanding and gets better every week, which is the scary part.
Yeah, he's got to be well over 200. I think he got 50 on one touchdown run alone. And obviously he's the story of the night, but really there were a lot of runs that he had. He didn't get touched till 10, 11 yards down the field, and that comes from disciplined line blocking by Meadowdale. So hats off to the coaches for diagramming the plays, and even more so to the players for sticking to their blocks and making Braxton look more the superstar than he was today. Well, for Mountlake Terrace, this is a game obviously hurts a little bit, but they talk about flushing it and forgetting it. So after tomorrow, it's on to the Shoreline schools. Take it 1 week at a time. They know, like we've been talking about, they still control their own destiny. If they win out, they go to the playoffs. They control what happens to them. They don't have to worry about anyone else winning or losing. So that's got to be the focus, I would think, Coach Umaim is going to tell his players here at halftime or at the end of the game, and also to start the week on Monday.
And we're going to take a quick break for a moment. Again, we invite you to stick around. We've got the Jersey Mike's Linwood postgame show coming up momentarily, and hopefully we'll have an interview here in another minute or two. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network. Today's Player of the Game Award is presented by Jersey Mike's Subs in Linwood. Located across from Alderwood Mall, Jersey Mike's offers authentic East Coast sub sandwiches made Mike's way. Using the finest quality ingredients, Jersey Mike's offers affordable catering with free local delivery. Visit our website at jerseymikes.com. Serving quality subs since 1956. Taste and believe. So once again, your final score here from Edmonds Stadium, Meadowdale 37, Mountlake Terrace 9. Malik Braxton with 4 touchdowns tonight as we await the opportunity to hopefully get him up the stairs here momentarily and to interview him and to talk about those 4 touchdowns, none of which were short distances, by the way, as Malik Braxton left, Malik Braxton right, Malik Braxton center, and sometimes he did a little bit of all 3 on the same play, just juking and cutting his way up and down the field tonight. Simply outstanding that the junior just continues to get better and better as the season goes on. And we'll see what Malik has to say about that, as this is the final regular season game at Edmonds Stadium this year. He's got Eastlake coming up next week, Glacier Peak, and then it's on to the playoffs. I should point that out as well, as the win tonight assures Meadowdale of finishing no lower than second place in the standings, and that means they've already qualified for the playoffs. So no matter what happens at this point, he will, in fact, be playing in the playoffs, and so will the rest of the his Maverick teammates. As this looks very reminiscent of last week, as I'm watching Malik Braxton come up the stairs right now, and we get to interview him one more time. And boy, I don't even know what to ask him at this point. Malik, nobody's tackling you. You're finding holes, and you just keep running into the end zone. So we'll have some fun with Malik, though. I think he's a great kid. We enjoyed interviewing him last week, and we'll see if he has a different take on tonight's game, and maybe ask him what it's like to score 4 touchdowns. We saw him score 3 last week, and apparently he wanted to one-up himself tonight and did so, and we'll get a chance to ask Malik here momentarily as he still makes his way up the stairs here. And there he is. Big number 5 is finally in the house here. Malik, I'm going to hand you that. This is old hat for you now, right? You've a second week in a row I've had you up here. Hey, I had you up here last week after we'll get you back here real quick. Yeah, stand right here. So
Hi.
3 touchdowns last week. That wasn't enough for you tonight. You had to go out and score 4, huh?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
So how'd that feel tonight?
It felt really good. It was just, they like to talk a lot, and just came out here and proved that we were dominant.
So that's how you shut folks up, right? When they're talking,
Yep.
you just find end zone and just keep finding it.
Exactly. But you got to get the shout out to the O-line. Always. That's everything.
Yeah, those guys just keep continuing to find those holes for you. But again, they're building the holes for you. But you're once you get through those holes, you're making some nice cuts in there. Do you feel like a lot of that's instinctive, or are you seeing things? What are you doing out there?
It's both, I guess. Like, I just do what I do. I don't really know what to say after that. It's just me.
Yeah. Now, is this the first 4 touchdown game you've had?
Yes, sir.
So you had 3 last week, 4 tonight. You had 2 the week before that. So
Yes, sir.
you're just racking up these touchdowns. Let's talk a little bit about next week too. I know Eastlake is your next opponent.
Yes, sir.
It's a non-division game. Are you guys going to take that game any differently, or do you think the coach is going to approach it any differently, knowing that Glacier Peak's the week after, or do you just keep playing Meadowdale football?
We're just going to do what we do. They're the next team up, and we got to play our game.
And then
score more.
And I don't have to tell you this. I think you already know. 2 weeks from now, do you know who you're playing?
Glacier Peak.
Peak
week.
Peak week. There you go. That's for all the marbles pretty much for West Coast South, right? The winner of that game wins the division. How are you feeling about that game?
Let's do it.
You're ready to go, right?
Can't wait. Yep.
Well, very good. Hey, I appreciate you coming up. I see Mom and Dad both made their way up here, too. I got a chance to talk to Dad before the game, and he seems pretty excited about your success. And he's telling me that there's a little brother coming up that might be just as good as you. Is that true?
I taught him well. I taught him well. Let's say that. I taught him well.
So what you're saying is Meadowdale's they've got another year of you after this.
Yes,
So
sir.
2013 and 2014, it's going to be the Malik Braxton show. And then, Dad, I'm looking at him over to the side here. Maybe even after that, we might see some more Braxtons out
Oh,
here.
yeah, definitely.
So if you're a Meadowdale fan, the future's bright, as this guy here is still running strong. And he's not done yet this year, guys. Eastlake next week, Glacier Peak the week after, and then a big crossover game. We don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but we were talking to the audience also. 3 weeks from now, it could be a Malik Braxton versus Joyner at Marysville Pilchuck.
Can't wait.
Have you had a chance to watch him play at all?
Oh, yeah. He's always just spread it around, and, we know who he is, but we're not worried.
Yeah.
I want that game to come up, too.
Yeah, you'd be okay with that,
Oh,
huh?
yeah,
Okay,
definitely.
we'll see. But, again, they need to get through a couple more games first.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
Malik, congratulations again on a
Thank
huge
you.
night. Congratulations on being the Jersey Mike's Linwood Player of the Game, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you. Go Mavs.
There you go. Go Mavs. So, again, Malik Braxton with 4 touchdowns tonight. Final score here, once again, Meadowdale 37, Mountlake Terrace 9. We're going to take a quick break and then come back with a final remark. You're watching the Sound Live Sports Network.
Okay, Jersey Mike's read.
So once again, we thank Malik Braxton for coming up here and being tonight's Jersey Mike's Linwood Player of the Game. Located across from Alderwood Mall, Jersey Mike's offers authentic East Coast sub sandwiches made Mike's way using the finest quality ingredients. Jersey Mike's offers affordable catering with free local delivery. Visit our website at jerseymikes.com, serving quality subs since 1956. Taste and believe. And one more time, your final score tonight, Meadowdale 37, Mountlake Terrace 9. Want to remind you, doubleheader next week once again. Edmonds Woodway versus Linwood at 5 o'clock, followed by Mountlake Terrace versus Shorewood. And these are the games that really start to matter here as we're getting into the later part of the season. These are the games where you have to make a stand or you're not going to be going to the playoffs, especially if you're the Mountlake Terrace Hawks. You really need to win these next two games or your postseason hopes are dashed immediately. So we invite you to tune into that game at that time. Once again, for Dave Kostyk, who did color commentary tonight, for Teresa Whipple, for Angelo Camo, and everybody at HBN for their participation, you've been watching the Sound Live Sports Network. Good night.